vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Morning, Mama. How you feeling?
Great, and I'm ready for you today.
I'm checking in on you. Morning meditation?
Check.
Dressed and ready to work out?
Check.
Check your blood pressure yet?
And check.
Boom! Great job, Mom. And about those gold earrings?
No, ma'am.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Monitor your blood pressure daily and help each other stay motivated. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you won't find PTSD by looking at a thermometer. Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a bandage. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover. Just crossover. It just crossed him over. Next to another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Welcome into the crossover. We've got, sounds like we might have some.
Robbie, John looks like he's in witness protection.
Yeah, I do.
It looks like an interview on a local news channel. We're like, we need to alter this guy's voice.
So that's how mine was, because we didn't have.
It's me, John Bishop.
We didn't have the blinds down.
Yeah,
and so I was totally blacked out by the.
And they don't have like the total. Cause these are the only blinds.
Yeah, they don't have like the.
See, that's the thing. The iris on this camera is just really.
It's a little rough.
Yeah,
it's a little rough.
Well, it's not rough. It's just sensitive.
Very sensitive.
It's just really sensitive.
It's a little snowflake iris.
Yeah,
snowflake.
Just a little bit. And there's no settings on here for it. So it's like, I am what I am. So yes, today I am in witness protection.
Matt says John looks like an unlockable character.
It's
like a video game where it's like, ooh, this is the prize you win if you advance to the next level.
There you go. Now it's unlocked.
In NBA 2K, you can unlock Michael Jordan if you achieve this.
Right. Yeah, I'm an unlocked character today. So if for anything else, watch the video stream to watch unlocked character John.
Perfect.
Eventually, at some point when the sun goes down, I'll be unlocked.
In like 3 hours.
Yeah, you'll be fine in 3 hours and 30 minutes.
And then we'll say, see you later.
Those voices are Josh Peterson, John Bishop on Sportsmanlike Conduct. We're doing a little crossover here. How are you guys doing today?
Not bad.
Doing good. It's nice to see the sun. We've seen the sun more times this week than I think we have in the last month.
I agree.
Yeah, that's about right. It's been dreary.
It's been nice. I wish it was a little less windy, but it's nice. I'm excited, Robbie, seeing a lot of the snow melting. I'm appreciative of that.
Not a big snow guy.
No, I'm ready to be done. I am so ready for spring. You want to know what I was doing? This is such an old thing. So this week I've gotten cable. Old. But also yesterday I was looking at the sunlight patterns of when the sun, like how early it's going to take to, when it's going to rise.
Man, I was referring to my farmer's almanac.
I was like, good Lord, what is wrong with me? I was like on a website for 5 minutes, like, okay, so in May the sun will be rising at this time. Yeah, because I was up the other day at like 5:45, and so I was in my office getting ready to do some show prep, and I was like, you know what? First things first, I need to Google the important things in life. What time will the sun be rising in
In
April?
4 months.
Yeah, and then you know what? I got a little jacked. I got pretty excited. I was like, man, it's gonna be sweet.
Did you put it on your calendar in your phone?
No, I didn't.
There's going to be so much sunlight. It's going to be awesome.
Dude, it's going to be great.
I can't wait for the summer solstice when it's the longest day of the year.
Dan,
man.
you say that.
I do love a summer solstice.
It's one of my favorite weeks of the whole year when the sun is setting at 9:30.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Glorious.
You've
And
got
it's
a-
rising at like 5.
You've got a little bit of sunlight all the way to like 10.
Dude,
Still
yeah.
kind of
You're at
bright
the
out.
College World Series. Like I remember doing one of those games back when I was a producer and I got to hang out with John for a while. That was so fun. And I'd leave and it's like, wow, the sun, I can still see
It's
it.
still-
This is
yeah.
great. And now I do that from home.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, this is great. John's having a blast at the ballpark.
John's
Well-
having so much fun at the College World Series.
Yeah. Well, leaving work last night.
Yeah.
Dude.
And you can see it.
Uh-huh.
Like it's almost
And so
close.
And so every day, and then there'll be a time like next week, I'll be gone for a couple of days going out to Creighton's game in DC. And so or through a weekend, and you skip a couple of days, and it's like, wow, it's even brighter now.
Look at all this sun.
There's more sunlight left at the end of the workday than I remember in most Januaries. I'm like, is it always like this at this time of the year? I thought it didn't get started like this until February.
Well, maybe the sun moved. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe the
Hard-
sun moved.
Hard to tell.
And then next week, you'll be gone, like you said. Wednesday, Robbie will be in. The show will end that day at 5. I mean, it'll be
it's
nice and sunny.
We're
that
not
day.
skipping dumb debates, are we?
No. We'll just do it. We'll just do it earlier.
Can we just do dumb debates the entire show?
We could do.
I'd
I
be
mean, when
fine
Robbie
with
and I are together, it's basically dumb debates.
Yeah, unofficially.
Unofficial dumb debates.
Yeah, but no, I got to get the dumb debates in. Otherwise, I might have something come up on my schedule.
Dion seems a little triggered right now. Says, Josh, what's today's topics? Food recipes, Creighton basketball, NFL, or funny, meaningless banter? Obviously, the latter.
I mean,
it's the crossover, Dion. What do you expect from us?
Yeah, this is the crossover.
I gotta say, we appreciate Dion listening or watching, as he often does on the stream. I think he's in the minority of what he's looking for here in the from some of our programs or programs.
Programs, yeah.
The other ones are programs, but programs, as it will. I think a lot of people enjoy the goofiness.
I do.
Well, that's what the crossover's for. It's for the
Yeah.
goofiness. It's for the ridiculousness.
Yeah,
It's
what do you want us
for
to do? Preview the NFC Championship game some more? No, John.
yeah, we're going to be doing that. By the way,
We'll do that later.
speaking of that, so with last year being an 11 on a 10-point scale in terms of your concern because you knew the Rams were going to win.
I actually did not. I thought because the 49ers are kind of owned the Rams in the regular season.
Yeah, but you knew that was coming to an end.
I did not actually. I was pretty confident.
How are you concerned? I'm curious. How concerned are you?
I mean, again, I'm right now relatively low stress. I'm sure that'll change by Sunday. My expectations are pretty reasonable because it's a third string quarterback. I don't know how. If it was the way I thought the season was going to go, right? I thought Trey Lance was going to be awesome. I thought he was going to lead. That's why I picked them to make the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. I was buying into the Trey Lance hype. So if I was there and it's like, man, we're here, it's finally gotten to this point, I think I would be a little bit more worried or stressed out because it's expectations management, right? When you get to, okay, Trey Lance is out. I don't really know what's going to happen. Oh, Jimmy G's pretty good again. That's cool. Oh, Jimmy G's out. I don't even know who our third string quarterback is. Oh, I guess Brock Purdy's awesome. The expectations have been lowered so much from the start of the season that right now it's like, I said this to you last week. It's all feels kind of like bonus. Now I get to the game and it's going to be stressful, right?
Yeah.
Because watching the actual game is stressful, but leading up to it, if you had told me, yeah, you're going to be down to your third string quarterback who was the last pick in the draft, I would be like, oh, so we didn't make the playoffs? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a
so
bummer.
the fact that you're in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, and they've won 12 games in a row.
It's like finding a $100 bill in your pocket.
Yeah, it's just hey, this is great. I didn't expect this. I never, it's all bonus to me at this point. So, not a huge level of concern. It's just I'd love it if they made the Super Bowl. I'd love it if the story ended with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, winning a Super Bowl. That'd be terrific. But at the end of the day, you can't. I mean, we saw what happened to Nick's Dolphins when they started losing quarterbacks. They fell apart. Right?
Yeah.
You can't reasonably.
Saw what happened with John's team when they lost a quarterback.
I mean,
until they got Baker, of course.
Well, yeah, Baker the savior. But
covered against the Raiders.
We still only won 2 games.
Triggered.
No, but I mean, I was upset the 49ers didn't get Baker because I had no idea what Brock Purdy was. And I was like, at least I know this person is sort of an NFL
Right,
quarterback.
right. And you've seen the physical tools. You've seen him winging around the field.
Yeah,
So you figure, okay, you get him with Shanahan and they'll rein him in.
Roster,
and, yeah.
I was like, I don't need somebody who's like peak Tom Brady. I just need somebody who's going to keep it on the track.
Right.
And I don't know if Brock Purdy can do that. Nobody knew if Brock Purdy could do that. And it turns out,
here he sits, 1 game away from the Super Bowl.
Greatest quarterback of all time. So
thing that I'm hoping for is that he has gotten some of the bad throws out of his system because he had some of them last week. Dallas forced him. We talked about it early in the week. They forced him to go left at times, and he did look lost because he would just start like turning around.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Brock,
like,
what
wait
are
a
you
minute,
doing?
what am I doing here?
if you can force him to scramble in directions he's not comfortable, then
especially the Eagles, most sacks, this season, one of the top 3 all time. They had 70 sacks in the regular season.
It's
gonna be tough.
Really good defensive line. The 49ers offensive line is going to have to be a little bit better than they were against Dallas.
Yep. And the run game's going to have to be better.
I think they're going to have to scheme around it a little bit better too, and either intentionally get him out of the pocket or do a little bit more of the creative stuff that we've seen out of the run game from Kyle Shanahan before with Debo and Christian McCaffrey and Juszczyk and all those guys.
Yeah, so that's the thing it's another one of the things that's very interesting about this game because Shanahan of the 2 coaches, even though he's young, he's the more experienced coach.
Oh, by
right?
far.
And, the Eagles last week notwithstanding, it's different now.
Mm-hmm.
When you reach this point and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, it is different.
You're a little shell-shocked.
And with San Francisco having been there before.
3 straight years.
And they won on the road, almost won on the wasn't really a road game last year in LA, as we know. But seriously, when you're away from home,
it's a different deal.
It's a different deal. Mm-hmm. And you wonder how because I think if you take the coaching out of it for a second, I really like Philadelphia because I love their roster. And I like the fact that some of their things that they do to matching up wise with, San Francisco not having faced many running quarterbacks this year, San Francisco not being very good with the deep ball this year, the big plays. From that aspect, that's where I like Philadelphia. But then you bring the coaches in. And how is Sirianni going to react in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Shanahan has been there.
Yeah.
And he's done that.
And he's made his mistakes already.
Right. And he's got something going. He's got something going on up in that head of his. Mm-hmm. And what kind of surprises is he going to have? And I think that little cat and mouse game, I think is where San Francisco has one of its biggest advantages.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. And also, I think outside of Brock Purdy, the 49ers I still think they have the best roster in football, but you're right. The matchups of where Philadelphia is really good and some of the places where the 49ers are weaker on their roster is a good matchup for Philadelphia. I think it's about even roster wise. So I want to say the edge goes to the 49ers because of coaching, but then you have this enormous wild card of what is Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Right.
The Eagles have the home field advantage. Purdy going on. This will be the toughest environment he's played in all season long.
Yeah.
By far. The toughest road environment before this was Seattle.
It's also the biggest game that Jalen Hurts has ever played in his life.
For sure.
So that also,
but Jalen Hurts, in college, he's been there.
But again, it's a
I know
different.
I know, but Purdy's not been is not been there in either spot.
In games of that magnitude,
sure.
Jalen Hurts has a better resume in college. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think obviously the quarterback play on both sides is going to be a huge wild card. But I'm just excited they're there. And if you had told me, hey, you're going to have a chance, I'll sign up for the NFC Championship with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, I'd take that all day.
Amen.
I would too.
I'm looking forward
that sounds
to it.
fun.
That would be nice.
It does sound fun.
Dare to dream. I'm gonna dare to dream. I'm gonna keep dreaming.
Someday.
I'm just gonna hope to jump in my time machine and go back a year. No, seriously, I'm really gonna enjoy this weekend.
Should be fun.
And I hope it gets off to a good start tomorrow at about 11:15.
I agree. Let's get out there early. Get your pink on for the Jays, and let's go get a top 15. We need a quad 1 win.
Need a quad 1. Yep.
Need a quad 1 win there. So hopefully we'll hopefully we'll get that and have a nice sports weekend.
Hey,
thanks, Robbie.
Take
Alrighty,
care.
boys, have a good show.
You'll be able to hear Robbie tomorrow. Our Blue Jay coverage starts at 9:45 a.m. Let's see if this works. So if I throw up how does it look with the blacked out X? Is that pretty good? That pretty good?
It just looks like
in the silhouette.
It looks solid.
In the silhouette. Mr. X. All right, we're coming back. We are live at the Hope Lodge, 80th and Farnham. Let's get it on a Friday next on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Hanley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer's given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Hanley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Partly to mostly cloudy skies for your Friday afternoon, with temperatures staying steady in the mid and upper 30s, but feeling more like the 20s with our breezy northwesterly gusts up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. Increasing clouds tonight with a 50% chance for light snow, especially well north of the metro as we head into our overnight hours. Omaha looking to pick up less than an inch of snow. Temperatures come tumbling Saturday, feeling more like the teens in single digits. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Saturday, it's the annual Creighton versus Cancer Pinkout game. The Blue Jays and top 25 Xavier. Pre-game coverage begins with Robbie Lula at 9:45. Tip-off at 11:15. Saturday on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Hi, friends. Kent Pavelka courtside getting ready for this year's matchup between the Average Roofing Companies and the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. The Average Roofers are just that, average at best, not very impressive. The Rooferees, above and beyond the opponent, more dependable, service that exceeds the norm, good sportsmanship, fairness, and integrity. You know them, you love them, and they're ready to win for you. Make the right call with John Higgins Weather Guard. It's tip-off time with the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. Join up, join in. It's time to make good on those New Year's fitness resolutions by becoming a member at Croc Center Omaha. There you'll find a full range of fitness activities, from free weights to Zumba classes to an indoor track, pickleball, and more. Join now and save. We'll waive the fees, plus you'll get 1 month free with an annual paid in full or auto pay membership. The Croc Center is just moments away from the Kennedy Freeway and Q Street. Go to omahacroc.org for more information. That's omahakroc.org.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Severo. Rotella's Italian bakery bread is the thing you need to have in your kitchen. There's so many things that are invaluable, right? The thing that's most invaluable, in my opinion, this time of year is having some fresh bread in your house, whether it's dinner rolls or for a hamburger or hot dogs or just some regular white bread so you can make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or maybe you're watching some bowl games. Whatever it is, you want to have a good time, and the good time involves Rotella's Italian bakery. It's 100 years of tradition. Get some bread today.
This edition of Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone is proudly presented by Union Bank and Trust. The program starts now.
KOZN.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on 1620 The Zone. Husker Athletics, Creighton, and yes, UNO. Don't miss a moment, they'll give you your fix. They're on every day from 2 until 6. Spend your afternoons with John, Josh, and Nick. John, Josh, and Nick. They'll show you what sports talk really is.
He told me if I said who did it, that he would kill me.
Wow. I should probably leave. I don't know if I want to be next to you. Everyone knows where you're at. You're at the Hope Lodge today. Uh-oh.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on 1620 The Zone. Husker Athletics, Creighton, and yes, UNO.
Was Josh the one that told you that, John?
Yeah.
What'd I tell you?
I mean, yeah.
I would never do that to you, John. I'm here. You're going to look like this the whole show.
This is going to be awesome.
This is so funny.
I love this.
Can we get a
I can't wait for
flashlight?
Mac to get here so we can show it to him. Look at you.
I mean, this is
You can
like,
tell you work for the Zone.
if I get really
Hey,
close.
that's what our boss cares about. He wants brand awareness. And no matter how
See, all this time, my wife has made fun of me
wife.
for my translucent skin and how I glow. Ain't glowing today, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a picture.
Ain't glowing today.
I have a picture saved of you on my computer. Let me see. Yeah, titled John White AF. And so we have one where you're very white.
Yeah.
And now we have one where
Yeah.
you look like you're in witness protection. That camera of yours is so funny.
Yeah, it is. It
yin-yang
really
of John.
is. It really is. It's I should probably just invest in another camera, I guess. But then I wouldn't have enough. I don't have enough places to plug it in anymore.
Just get a
I mean,
flashlight.
this is only for when you're off-site, when you're at home. Didn't you buy one for when you're at home now, or
A
was
light.
it somebody else?
A
Oh,
light.
you bought a light.
I
Okay.
bought a light.
Tapper bought a camera. So when we do like last night when we recorded the 1620 The Jays podcast and Happer slowly lost his voice over the course of 15 minutes.
Yeah, I heard
He
about
looks
that.
really good.
Yeah.
So I thought about maybe I should spend a few bones and have one of those at my house. But as of now, I haven't done that yet.
Well, alongside Josh Peterson, I'm Mr. X. Welcome to the Hope Lodge, 80th and Farnham. We're just down the hill, just east of Children's Hospital. Like I was telling the folks here, this was an empty lot 10 years ago when Christian was hospitalized with leukemia, and this was my walking space. This is where I would come down and walk. So to know that this is here and doing such special things,
Yeah.
it's emotional. It brings a lot of memories back. But we are here for the paper drive, where you can bring by. We've got all kinds of different premium paper towels or tissues, Kleenex, toilet paper, whatever you can bring. If you can bring it, please do so. There are signs here, by the way, marked to show you which door to go in, so you can drop those off. There, you can register to win tickets, I believe. Is it to tomorrow's game, Dan?
No, it's to the rest of the season.
Oh, the rest of the season.
It's count. Yeah,
Every home game for the rest of the season, including tomorrow.
Yeah, and Melanie reached out to me, our fine promotions director of fun. I don't know if they still call him the director of fun. Either way, we're going to announce that on the air in the last hour of the show.
Oh, cool.
Who is winning season tickets for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year,
including, as you said, including tomorrow versus Xavier.
So when you buy whatever donation you can, cash donations welcome as well, gift cards, whatever the case may be, bring them by. You can register and win tickets to every remaining home game this season, which means, of course, Xavier tomorrow. You got UConn coming up. That's going to be Donnybrook, Marquette. So some good games still left on the Creighton schedule. If you want, you can request a Zone T-shirt. We have some down here where we're located. I don't believe they're letting people down the hall, which is fine. But if you do want a Zone T-shirt, they'll send someone down to grab one for you. But we do have Zone T-shirts here as well. And if you can't be here in person, and we know we have many friends of the program who are watching us either from work or wherever they may be all around the world, you can donate. We got the link up on the video stream, but we'll be repeating it throughout. Cancer.org/pinkout. Cancer.org/pinkout. And donations, every donation that we get is going to be matched.
Oh, wow.
Up to
awesome.
$30,000. Nebraska Cancer Specialists has agreed to match all donations raised up to $30,000. So basically, if you're donating $5, it's basically like donating 10.
Well,
if
how
you're
about
donating
this?
100, it's like 200.
Speaking of 100, so you were gone. You were in the back doing something. We had a guy stop by. I don't remember his name. Rams fan. See that crisp $100 bill that's sitting there right in front of the toilet paper?
That's what we are.
That's what you
That's
are.
what we are. That's what Rams
that's
fans
what you are.
are.
That's what you care about.
That's what Rams
Look
fans
at Rams
are.
fans.
Well, that's because that's money. They had extra money because they
He
weren't
was
buying
like,
playoff tickets.
Yeah, I don't need them for the Super Bowl this year. Here you go.
That's very nice. We really appreciate
So
that.
that's like $200. Right
yeah. So whatever you can do, please send those our way. Cancer.org/pinkout or visit us here, 80th and Farnham, the Hope Lodge, which is a place where cancer patients and loved ones can stay for long-term treatment. If you missed it, the interview with Ravi,
Oh my gosh,
can't recommend it
incredible.
enough. Tony's story, the fact that Tony was listening to us 4 years ago when we were here for the first time, and his dad said, "You're going to go on that radio show and tell your story."
And that was among the bucket list items that he had.
And he checked it off today.
Incredible.
Tremendous interview. If you missed it, check it out in the radio replay section at 1620thezone.com. Coming up on the program today, we are going to continue to preview the conference championship games. Josh has got key questions.
I got 4 questions per game today.
We got key questions that we need to get answered. We are also going to talk with Mark Willard, morning host at 95.7 The Game in Northern California, covering the San Francisco 49ers. He will join us. Dr. Kirsten Liu, who is with Nebraska Cancer Specialists, who has been kind enough to do those matching donations for us today. She's going to join us a little bit later in the program. Also, Kent's Movie Club.
Oh, everyone's excited for this.
This is the real reason why I am blacked out today on the video.
Because of the takes that you're going to have later?
Because the takes I'm going to have, I'm afraid that the chef is going to come find me and invite me over for dinner.
Oh,
Yes, chef.
boy. Oh, boy. Yes, chef. Nice, Nick.
And also, we're going to talk Cincinnati Bengals. Yep, we're covering it all. Mitch Stacy, who covers the Bengals for the Associated Press, will join us a little bit later on. And Coach Mack.
Wow.
Greg McDermott, whose decision to get the Pink Out started over a dozen years ago, it's led to all of this. Everything that's been done in the Creighton versus Cancer Pink Out game, the proceeds have gone to both building this place and to keeping this place and keeping the lights on in this place. This is where all the money goes. So when you see that visual, or if you're in the crowd and you're experiencing it, just know that every donation that you have done for the Creighton versus Cancer Pink Out initiative has gone to this place. 402-951-1620 if you want to join us on the hotline today. If you want to hit us up in the email inbox, John at 1620thezone.com or Josh at 1620thezone.com or Mr. X at 1620thezone.com.
Ooh, Mr. X.
I don't know where that would take you. You probably wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah. I get a bounce back.
Yeah, J-Tech Instruction. Brought to you by Equitable Bank. Taking banking personally, answering the phone on the first ring. Something tells me Doug's probably got a nice donation coming this way.
Oh, nice. Good on you, Doug.
Because that's what Doug does. He's a good guy. And if he wasn't intending on it, I just guilted him into it.
Good job, John. That was a well done.
That's why Warren Buffett's going to be donating a little bit later on today.
Oh, wow. Ravi Lula.
Ravi Lula. And the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed at USC 1620. So there you go. That's what we got today. Plenty to come on the program. Glad you could be with us here on this Friday afternoon. And we will be rolling on next from the Hope Lodge, American Cancer Society Hope Lodge at 80th and Farnham. Please bring by a paper donation or a cash donation, and also register to win those tickets. All the Creighton home games the rest of this basketball season you can win, and we'll announce that later today right here on 1620 The Zone.
Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
You've got options when you shop pre-owned with Woodhouse. Over 1,000 cars, trucks, and SUVs inspected and road ready, with a team ready to tackle all your needs and wants to get you the perfect vehicle. Plus, with financing options and extended warranty coverage options, Woodhouse makes purchasing your next vehicle an easy one-stop shop in dealership or online, bringing you more every time since 1975. Shop Woodhouse.
NRG Media in Omaha is growing. We're looking for an account executive to present and sell marketing campaigns to local businesses. We're also looking for a client marketing coordinator to help our account executives create and execute marketing campaigns backed by excellent customer service. NRG is also looking for a sales assistant to help with the behind-the-scenes details that keep everything running smoothly. For information on each of these positions, go to nrgmedia.com and click Careers. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
If you're like most Americans, you can see things are out of control. Global problems have local consequences, too many of them. And if the next news headline spins us into chaos, you'd better be ready. Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Today's the day to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. And as you'd expect from a true preparedness company, our food kits are in stock and ship quickly. Those who know what's coming are preparing today. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
What makes DJ's Dugout Omaha's #1 sports bar? Where do I start? Nick Hanley here for my friends at DJ's. I just love the atmosphere and friendly staff at DJ's. The minute you walk in, those huge media walls just absolutely grab your attention. Man, the NFL playoffs have been awesome to watch at DJ's too. It's absolutely the place to gather with friends to watch the big game as well. Delicious food, great atmosphere. For me, it's got to be DJ's Dugout. Locally in Vietnam, veteran-owned. Dig in at the Dugout.
This is a sale so big that Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, and for a very limited time, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Carrier, turn to the experts. On qualifying equipment, for details, call or click.
Now, unsportsmanlike conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. The 1620, The Zone.
Welcome back to the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge. For our paper drive, please bring by a paper product like paper towels or tissue paper, toilet paper, and you can register to win tickets to see the remainder of Creighton's home men's basketball schedule. We'll be drawing for that later. For those who can't be here in person, Nick has been soliciting folks on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. If you go to @USC1620, we do have tickets to tomorrow night's game, or tomorrow afternoon's game, just tomorrow afternoon's game. So you can tweet at him. Just check out the USC1620 link. And he'll be picking one at random a little bit later on. In fact,
what do you hope to see from tomorrow's game? That's the prompt.
That's the prompt.
That's
a good prompt.
A basketball bounce into John's face. Could somebody say that, John?
Somebody could say that. That would be mean.
I mean, I'm just saying they could say that if they'd like.
Yeah. I'm looking. Oh, we've had another line move.
Oh.
We've had another line move.
I heard you. I got to.
We have another line move.
Awesome,
find
man.
it
I love
back.
drops 10 seconds later. That's
It is
really good
now
stuff.
Kansas City Chiefs -1.5. So to review real quick, it started at Chiefs -3. Then it immediately shifted to Bengals -1 within 15 minutes. So it made a 4-point swing. Then it slowly crept up over the next couple of days, got to Bengals -2.5. In fact, David Purdom of ESPN said for like 10 minutes at Caesars, it was Bengals -3.
Crazy.
For 10 minutes.
Crazy.
Then it started slipping back. And then yesterday, it made the flip back to Chiefs -1. Now it is Chiefs -1.5. The most line movement I can remember in an NFC or any conference
championship game,
any
yeah.
playoff game for that matter. And as you would expect, a lot of it has to do with the condition of Patrick Mahomes. I was reading from David Purdom today. He's their gambling analyst for ESPN.com. And he talked to Chris Andrews, who is the sportsbook director at South Point in Las Vegas. And he said, quote, I remember saying on Tuesday there had to be some sort of report that Mahomes looks pretty good. Yesterday they showed that film clip. He seemed to be walking fine, and the floodgates opened after that. So really,
Isn't it
all
crazy?
of this,
It's all based off of like
it's based off one guy.
Yeah, and
I know it's an important guy.
Sure, but in very little practice video of him just kind of moving around on the football field. It's why I asked that question. You know, we had Alan Bell on yesterday, and I asked him the question, you know, was there intel that just was disproven earlier this week, or was it all people just going off of maybe prognostications on what was going to happen with Patrick Mahomes? You know, Tony Romo talked about it on the broadcast on Sunday when him and Nance were in Orchard Park, and he because he was asked about, you know, having an injury like this, and he didn't play the following week. He had to miss the game when he had this a very similar injury, and he mentioned, like, look, in that moment, you know, you can play, but then you wake up Monday, and that's when you really kind of figure out where you'll be at, if you can walk on it or not. So it's obvious that he has recovered well. Of course, they're going to shoot him up on Sunday night down in Kansas City. You wonder, you know, you've spent some time, and we've asked people, and we'll have, you know, a Bengals guest on later, and kind of the us against them and feeling like the underdog. You just wonder, for a franchise like Kansas City that has had so much success in the 5 years that Mahomes has been their starter. They've gone to 2 Super Bowls. They've won 1 Super Bowl. They've been to the AFC Championship game every year. This will be their 5th straight. You know, for them to be underdogs, you know, it's kind of like when the Patriots are underdogs or were underdogs back in the Tom Brady era. It's just like, I have to imagine they enjoyed it a little bit. Now, you know, I mean, the biggest thing is going to be what level of Mahomes do we get on Sunday? But man, I bet that there's going to be some extra motivation from them against a team that came into their house last year and won in this very situation. Guys are going to, you mentioned the thing with Dak on Monday. He doesn't raise the level of play of his teammates. Mahomes does. You have to imagine that the Chiefs players, they know that he's not going to be at 100%. They've seen him all week long. They're going to raise their level of play for him. Will it be enough? That's going to be the question that we have to see answered.
We'll have our predictions a little bit later on, but, you know, remember, Mahomes has been 100%, or we assume 100% in all of the other meetings against Cincinnati, and they've lost all 3.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as a lot of the reaction right now, and maybe, you know, you can make the argument that, well, yeah, but eventually the Chiefs are going to get them right. Yeah, you would think so, but sometimes a team just has your number.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just happens. It doesn't make any sense at all, where a team just has your number. And Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator of the Bengals, has always had a different game plan for them every time out. And that's probably not going to be any different on Sunday. Cincinnati playing with that chip on their shoulder. Now they can put the chip back on their shoulder because now they're the underdogs again, even though they were the favorites for a day and a half, 2 days.
No, we're the underdog. No, we're the underdog.
Whatever the case may be. But listen, even if the spread had stayed in favor of Cincinnati, they're still going to carry that chip with them because they're going to Arrowhead. They're going to be in the Hornets' nest.
Yep.
And having been there, not for playoff games, but having been there for games before, it can be a pretty intimidating atmosphere. It's probably, I mean, I look forward to finding out more when we talk with some of the folks who have been there, but something tells me the atmosphere is going to be that plus crank it up another notch and a half.
Yeah.
Because the Chiefs fans, they now feel disrespected, right?
Yep.
They feel like, and then Cincinnati's been doing all the talking this week.
Yep.
And Eli Apple won't shut up, and they're calling it Burrowhead Stadium. That is just going to fire them up. Plus, it's a night game, which means the barbecuers and the tailgaters are going to be out, and they're going to be sauced. That's why I think, and I always think back to the Nebraska USC game in 2007.
The one
in Lincoln, when night game,
Great
crowd
atmosphere.
is just absolutely juiced up. And then there was that moment where there was a player injury and everything kind of died. And then USC immediately took over right after that. And the crowd was never in it again. The Bengals might need that moment. I'm not saying they need to have an injury happen where it takes the life out of the stadium, but you need that moment that takes the life out of the stadium and maybe takes a little bit of the sauce out of it, because after a long day of tailgating and all that other stuff, people just are like, oh, God, we're all worn out now. I think if it looks like last year where Kansas City gets out to a big lead and then Cincinnati had to claw back, even though they did it before,
I don't think they can do it.
I don't think they can do it again.
Me neither.
I think if Cincinnati's going to win, they need to jump on them early and do something early and make Kansas City play from behind. I'm not saying the Bengals couldn't fall behind by a score and not come back, but I do think they need to get on them early, because they have been a good first half team. Sometimes in the second half, not so much.
Well,
last week was different, but
even last week the Cincinnati was just kind of stiff-armed a little bit.
Because I think they could afford to.
Yeah, exactly. They got off to such a great start. They didn't really need to add a whole lot in the second half. I'm with you. It's funny. The first AFC Championship game against the Patriots, so that was a supercharged atmosphere because it was their first AFC title game in decades, and it was against the dynasty of all dynasties. The next year, it was more of a celebration. The year after that against the Bills, more of a celebration. The rivalry hadn't taken place yet. Even last year with Cincinnati, it felt like a coronation, and then it didn't happen. This year, I think you're right. I think this year could have the best atmosphere yet at Arrowhead for one of these AFC Championship games. One quick tweet, or text rather, from Jay Scrittati says it's not how Mahomes is going into the game, it's where he's at during it or after he takes a few hits. Yeah, I was listening to, remember, it might have been Dominique Foxworth, and he talked about, look, first half, he'll be fine. He'll have that emotion, and he'll be able to play off of that. It's going into halftime and then having to sit there and trying to just keep that thing warm before they come out for the second half action.
We are live at the Hope Lodge here at 80th and Farnham, just down the hill from Children's Hospital on the east side. We are taking paper donations, paper towels, toilet paper, and Kleenexes, regular tissues for the folks here at Hope Lodge, which is a place where cancer patients can stay for long-term treatment and have a home away from home. All of the proceeds over the years from the Creighton versus Cancer Pink Out initiative have gone to building and maintaining this place. And if you come here and bring by a donation in person, and it can be cash or gift cards too, you can also register to win tickets to every Creighton men's basketball home game for the rest of the season, which would include tomorrow's game against Xavier, which is already listed as a sellout. In fact, they're going to be selling standing room only tickets pretty soon. So golden opportunity for you, and we will be announcing those winners during the happy hour today in the 5 o'clock hour. Coming up, more on the NFC side of things with Mark Willard, radio host for 95.7 The Game in Northern California, as we preview the 49ers and their efforts against the Eagles on Sunday. Back with more from the Hope Lodge at 80th and Farnham on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
It's time to find a career that's right for you. Metropolitan Community College can help you find a new path forward on your time. Whether you need a degree that puts you on a path to a new career or need to finish a degree you've already started, MCC makes it affordable and convenient with a flexible class schedule, online or on campus. It's your time to path forward. Let MCC show you the way. Register today. Classes start March 9th. Apply today at mccneb.edu/adults.
Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Berry Law, we're in it to win it.
Call Berry Law today, 402-999-7777. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Mark your calendars for the 12th annual Creighton versus Cancer Pinkout game, sponsored by Methodist Hospital and CHI Health. The Blue Jays square off against Xavier at 11:15 a.m. on Saturday, January 28th. The first 16,000 fans in attendance will receive a free commemorative Creighton versus Cancer t-shirt with exclusive Pinkout posters distributed upon exit. Limited tickets remain online at gocreighton.com/tickets. The 12th annual Creighton versus Cancer Pinkout game, proudly sponsored by Methodist Hospital and CHI Health.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement. As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, manage your benefits, and even change your address, all from the comfort of your home. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
In a house in Omaha, people gather in the kitchen. They don't talk about school and work. They talk about doctors and surgeries. They're the families of Ronald McDonald House Charities in Omaha. And the kitchen is where they come together to share the struggles their children are facing. For these families, it's the little things like a home-cooked meal even while far from home that make the biggest difference. Volunteer to prepare a meal by visiting rmhcomaha.org.
If you've been watching the NFL playoffs from the sidelines, there's still time to get in on the game with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook because new customers, you can bet this Sunday's conference championship games with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you have to do is sign up with promo code ZONE. That's pretty easy to remember, Nick. It's promo code ZONE.
And what bet would you make with $150 in free bets this weekend? Some thin lines between the AFC Championship and NFC Championship games. FanDuel has all of your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose with promo code ZONE. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back to the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, 80th and Farnham. Please bring by a donation of paper products or a cash donation if you'd like our generous benefactor did a few minutes ago. And make sure you register for some Creighton tickets for the rest of the season, rest of the men's home basketball schedule. And we'll be drawing for that a little bit later on. But right now, we want to go to the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Hotline for Mark Willard, radio host for 95.7 The Game in Northern California, covering the San Francisco 49ers. Mark, thanks for coming on this afternoon.
Anytime. How we doing out there?
Doing great.
We are doing fantastic. This game, obviously, the thing I like about it is we have not seen these teams play against each other. Also, the styles and how sometimes they are very similar, sometimes they are very different. And one of the ways they are very different is the fact that even though both teams run the ball very well, the Eagles have one of the best running quarterbacks in the game in Jalen Hurts, and the Niners haven't really faced a quarterback with his skill set, unless you count Justin Fields, but that was in a monsoon many, many weeks ago. The Niners, do you think that the fact that they have not allowed a ground runner to get 70 yards or more in 27 straight games, does that number need to go to 28 if San Francisco expects to win on Sunday?
Probably would be my answer. It's kind of an interesting thing with Jalen Hurts, because let's look at the dynamic from kind of top to bottom. First of all, the 49ers are really good at defending quarterbacks on designed runs. They're not very good necessarily when defending a quarterback who is improvising. And that's what Jalen does so well, and I think that's what has some 49er fans worried. The other side to that, though, is how much do the Eagles really want to run Jalen Hurts? It's a big part of his game. There's no doubt that they're going to do it. There's also no doubt that his shoulder is hurt, and they're going to want to limit the hit that Jalen Hurts takes. So this is a pretty interesting dynamic. But yeah, I'm with you. You mentioned the number 70. If Jalen, or even if Miles Sanders ends up around that number, then I'm liking the Eagles' chances.
Mark, one of the talking points surrounding the 49er defense in recent weeks has been, all the positives, but maybe that one area that they can be had is the deep ball. And now they face an Eagles offense that, of course, is incredible. Devontae Smith going deep, A.J. Brown going deep. How big of a concern do you think that part of the game is Sunday afternoon?
It's big. There's no two ways about it. I mean, when the 49ers' entire secondary is actually predicated on their pass rush. And you don't have to go very, very far back in the Kyle Shanahan era to understand how much the pass rush changes it. In 2018, this team picked off 2 balls all year. They only got 2 interceptions. They were brutal. The very next year, they went to the Super Bowl. What was different? They drafted Nick Bosa. They signed D Ford. They focused on the pass rush, and the exact same secondary that had only picked off 2 balls the year before, all of a sudden was picking balls off left and right and almost won a Super Bowl. So flash forward to how that affects things now. The Eagles' offensive line is fantastic. And if they are able to neutralize the 49er pass rush group, then their secondary is not good enough to hold up with the Eagles' downfield receivers. All you got to do is look at that game against the Raiders on New Year's Day when Jarrett Stidham was able to throw the ball downfield because he was afforded time, if you will, to make those plays. So, yeah, this is definitely a matchup to watch, and it's the bread and butter for both teams. The Niners pass rush against the Eagles' offensive line. I think they'll stop them from running the ball, but if Hurts has got a lot of time back there to look at receivers downfield, then the Niners could be in trouble.
Talking with Mark Willard, radio host for 95.7 The Game, Northern California, covering the San Francisco 49ers. We talked so much in the other game about Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, who was always changing up his game plans. On the point that you just made, could we see a scenario where DeMeco Ryans maybe gets into his bag of tricks and tries to show Jalen Hurts some new looks? Maybe they are dropping 7 or 8 back in coverage to try to take certain things away. Or do you think Ryans knows exactly where his strengths are? He's going to continue to play to his strengths and going to bank on those guys.
Like, in other words, here's something to really, really watch in this game. If the Eagles have a play that works, do they go back to it? This is where teams get messed up going against the 49ers. It happened with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys a few times in the game where something had worked early, and the Niners defense will bend early. They've given up some first-quarter touchdowns. The reason that they don't give up much in the second half is this defensive group is elite at recognizing formations that they've already seen in the game. So if a play works, Sirianni and the Eagles would be really smart to just take whatever they got on that play and not do it again, because if they repeat the same formation and try to do it again, that's when the 49ers are really good at picking balls off and creating turnovers.
Mark, other side of the ball, obviously a lot has been made over the last month and change, 2 months, about Brock Purdy. But the thing that stood out to me the most last week in the win over Dallas when San Fran had the ball. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey only 57 yards total on 16 touches. Deebo Samuel only had 56 total yards on just 8 touches. What I guess can be different? What has to be different for those two players in particular if San Francisco's offense is going to have more success than they did against the Cowboys?
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know that a whole lot needs to change. The 49ers are very comfortable grinding out games where the winning team has 20 to 24 points, as you saw last week. I think the Dallas defense, the front, surprised them a little bit, and it was definitely the best group that the 49ers have seen. But the game plan is going to be this. They'd much rather punt than turn it over. And so they believe, because of all those weapons and all the different players they can throw at you, that they can wear you down and then have some success in the fourth quarter, which is what happened against Dallas. They really did not run the ball. And then in the fourth quarter, they jammed it down their throat, and they won the football game because of it. So the 49ers have never been, under Kyle Shanahan, a great team for your fantasy roster. They've just been a really good team. So you can't look at box scores afterward and say that's got to be this or that's got to be that. It's too spread out. The numbers are too spread out, and so it's not consistently big numbers. It's just consistent results.
Mark Willard, radio host 95.7 The Game, covering the San Francisco 49ers. Last week, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence had Brock Purdy on the run, especially in obvious pass situations. Eagles, best sack team in the NFL this year. Hassan Reddick, 17.5 sacks. Obviously, the run game is going to help dictate how many obvious pass situations the Niners face. But is this where maybe Kyle Shanahan needs to be his most creative, keeping Gang Green off of Purdy's back when they have to throw?
No doubt, because they're going to want to get the ball out of his hands early, especially early in the game. What they do trust in him, though, is, as you pointed out, the Cowboys had Purdy on the run, and he turned it over a total of 0 times. And so a lot of people are looking at Purdy's game last week and going, boy, you didn't do much. And I think they're underselling the performance because Dak Prescott had more chunk plays. He had a touchdown pass. Brock didn't. But Dak also threw 2 picks and almost threw a third. And so that's what they're looking for from Brock. But you're not wrong. They're going to have to get the ball out of his hands early. That's the way to neutralize the pass rush, and the spot to attack on the Eagles defense is clearly their linebackers, which is where a lot of the 49ers offensive weapons like to operate, about 10 yards down the field over the middle. So the Eagles will know that, though. And yes, creativity will be the deal. Kyle Shanahan sets up offensive plays where people are very confused and don't know where they're going next. And this will be his biggest test on that front yet.
Mark, what's your lean in this game?
I think that this is going to be a lower scoring game than people think. I think it is just 2 total titans. I think they're the best 2 teams in football. I think the winner's going to win the Super Bowl, and I think it's the game we deserve. And because of that, there's a long feeling out process that leads to a lot of defense over offense early. I think that's a comfortable spot for the 49ers. I'll take San Francisco 20-17.
Mark, I am curious, before we let you go, it's been 28 years since this proud franchise won a Super Bowl. They've been so close the last 4 or 5 years, losing, in come from behind fashion to the Chiefs. Obviously, last year had a 10-point lead in L.A. with 1 quarter to go to get back to the Super Bowl. How are the Niner faithful? Is there a desperation? Just what is this beyond just hey, they're playing in a championship game, it's important? Does it feel like it means more than that?
Here's the dynamic where, and you get a lot of people on both sides. My quick answer would be yes, except for the Brock Purdy thing, which is that it's pretty hard to expect a team to go win a Super Bowl when they're playing with a 7th-round rookie who no one was even thinking about. Here's the the response to that, though. The response to that is the 49ers have already decided that this is their quarterback going forward. So to me, you're not a 7th-round rookie anymore. Now he's your quarterback. And so, yes, those scars from the last few years are there. It's been a long time, and we had a healthy debate today on our show as to whether or not the pressure was more on the Eagles or the 49ers. most people say the Eagles, they're the home team, they're the favorite, they got the MVP candidate, they got all that stuff. To me, it's the 49ers, because this Eagles group is just fresh to the contender party. The Niners have been here for 5 years, and they haven't gotten over the hump yet. And if they miss out on yet another opportunity, that's where you start to get a little bit of a reputation for falling just short.
Mark Willard, 95.7 The Game. Mark, thanks a lot. Enjoy the game this Sunday.
Okay, guys, thanks for calling.
Thank you,
Mark
Mark.
Willard joining us on the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Hotline. All right, so questions.
4 questions.
4 questions for each game. We'll cover the AFC game a little bit later when we talk with some Cincinnati folks.
I'll start with the road team, and I'll do that later on with Cincinnati. Can the 49ers run the ball better than they did against the Dallas Cowboys? Last week, 32 carries, 113 yards, 3.5 yards per carry. John, going in, that was outside of Dak Prescott and turnovers, which ended up happening. This was the thing that I was worried about the most, the 49ers leaning on the Dallas Cowboys. That didn't happen. We mentioned some of the McCaffrey numbers just a moment ago with Mark. He had 10 totes for just 35 yards. This year, Eagles defense, middle of the pack in the NFL and allowing 130 yards on the ground per game. So they obviously, I think this is a group that the 49ers, could have some success again, but that leads into the second question when the 49ers have the football. Did Brock Purdy get the bad throws out of his system? Because I think, in this one, man, this is, I think, the biggest key. I really do. We saw the Cowboys get pressure on him. We saw them, as you mentioned, forcing him to go left. And we saw, the end of the first half, real weird clock management. They still were able to get that field goal. But if he's just a little bit slower on the release, they don't get a field goal. They go into the half, tied at 6, really disappointed in that situation. And now they're going against the best pass rush in football, as you just asked Mark about a moment ago. So it's a group that can, of course, get a lot of sacks, 70 in the regular season. They had multiple sacks of Daniel Jones a week ago. That's the thing. Can they run the ball and thus not have to lean on Purdy as much? Or if the Eagles are able to get a nice start going when they have the football, what would that do to Purdy? What would that do to the run game? So kind of 2 questions in one, in a way, for the 49ers when they have the football.
It's been a long time since San Francisco lost. You got to go back to October the 23rd against Kansas City in that blowout game. And that's, of course, back before Brock Purdy was even thought of. But you look at the games that they lost. They lost to the Bears in week 1. That was a game where San Francisco wants to run, but you were really forced to run. A, you had a rookie quarterback starting, and B, it was a monsoon. So it really wasn't going to lend itself to doing a whole lot in the passing game. So that's why the 49ers, of their 155, they had 155 total yards passing in that game. They had 176 on the ground. But again, it was really rough conditions. They lost to the Broncos. Only had 88 yards on the ground. Lost to the Panthers. Now, that's the one game that kind of stands out as kind of an unusual one, because San Francisco ran for 153 yards, averaged 5.3 yards a carry, but still lost that game. But they also had a turnover problem that day. And then I mentioned the game against the Chiefs. They were kind of taken out of what they wanted to do because Kansas City jumped on them in the second half. Hard to run the ball when you're trailing by multiple scores.
Plus, that was game 1 for McCaffrey.
So, but you look at the rushing log ever since, and only one time where the 49ers held under 100 yards, and that was to the Saints. So getting over 100 yards has been important to them. We saw it last week. For 3 quarters, I thought Dallas was commanding the game. I know it was only 9-6 or 9-9, and Dallas wasn't pulling away. There's reasons for that. We've already talked about them ad nauseum. But I really thought in terms of game control,
they were controlling the
game control, Dallas was winning the game. And they were doing it because McCaffrey couldn't get traction. They couldn't get anything going. And it was forcing Brock Purdy to throw the ball. When you got DeMarcus Lawrence, when you got Micah Parsons, and they can just pin their ears back and come at you.
Yeah.
Well, guess what Hassan Reddick want to do? He's going to want to pin his ears back and come right after you. So I agree. I think the running game in this is so important. It's important for both teams, but if I had to pick a side, which team needs the running game more to be successful,
49ers.
I'm still going to pick the 49ers even though this is a new spot for Jalen Hurts as well, and Philadelphia, a lot of what they do is predicated on the run. I just think it matters that much more to San Francisco, especially being the road team as well.
Thank you. That was the one final point I want to add. Running the ball in a road environment can be so key in just terms of taking the crowd out of it. 2 questions for the Philadelphia Eagles. The first one, will they have success with the deep ball? We kind of talked about this a little bit last week with the Cowboys-49ers matchup, but this offense, Eagles, one of the most explosive offenses in the league, and we have seen the deep ball become a huge reason why, whether it's going to A.J. Brown, who, as we talked about, coming off of a game, not a ton of production, pretty frustrated. Sirianni has talked about it a little bit this week, Devontae Smith as well. So this is a team that wants to send those guys deep down the sidelines, and that's the one weakness of this 49ers defense. They would much rather have everything stay kind of compact in front of them in the middle of the field. Dallas, when they stopped having success in the middle of the field, basically when Tony Pollard went out, they tried to go wide. They couldn't do it anymore because they didn't have the receivers to do it. The Eagles have the receivers to. They have 2 number 1 receivers, basically.
Yeah.
Smith and A.J.
This
Brown.
is why they got A.J. Brown.
Exactly. So that's my first question for the Eagles. And the second one, look, it's just the aggression. I wonder about the aggression with Jalen Hurts and running the football. Last week, solid. 9 carries, 34 yards, just under 4 yards per carry, had a touchdown. But he said it, he slid, early. He wasn't willing to lower his shoulder, and that's totally fine. There was no need to lower the shoulder last week against the Giants. Like, that's one of the things that I wonder about in this one. Will he be willing to lower the shoulder? And then what happens if he does? Because, man, you want to talk about other takeaways that I had last week watching that Cowboys 49ers game. This team, and I've known it, but they hit so hard. They fly around. It's one of the fastest defenses that we're going to see. I mean, really, 2 of the fastest defenses in the NFL are going to be on the field in this game. But that 49ers defense is going to do that. So I just wonder what type of runner is Jalen Hurts going to look like? Because if he has anywhere near the form of November and early December, like, my goodness, it's going to be so tough. And that's where I think that this game could really tilt either for Philadelphia or for San Francisco, and that's with Jalen Hurts' legs. So will they have success with the deep ball? What type of runner is he going to be?
27 straight games without allowing a rusher to get over 70 yards. We always talk about, keeping rusher under 100 yards.
Yeah.
100's a nice even round number. 70
Crazy.
is 70.
Crazy.
Now, the other part, and this was something that happened last year. The last time these 2 teams played was in week 2 last year, and Jalen Hurts had 82 yards rushing and a touchdown.
That was early Jalen Hurts.
That was early Jalen Hurts. This is and without A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and everything else about Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts. It was a different team last year. Yeah. This year's team is so much better. I agree. I think that's going to be another key barometer in this one. And I have to believe if you're Nick Sirianni, last week I think there was still a bit of a governor.
Yes.
On Jalen Hurts. Granted, it was easier to work with that governor when you get a touchdown on the first possession, you get a touchdown on the second possession, you're up 21-0. By the time that you got done blinking your eyes, it's 21-0.
No need to even try to run the ball with him as much as you normally would.
I think they're going to come a lot closer to pulling that governor off and emptying the tank, if you will, because they know this is what they need.
Yeah.
They might try to, just work it with the backs early in the game, but it would not surprise me. And watch who gets the ball first too. Teams always like to defer, but in a game like this, and in any kind of a championship game, you want to get that first score. I'm not saying the team that wins the toss isn't going to defer, because they always defer, and it's usually the smart play. But there may be an advantage to the team that gets the ball first, to try to jump on them, get a surprise.
Take the crowd out of the game or
get the crowd really going in the game.
Yeah. By the way, Jim, quick correction from Jim. Niners didn't lose to the Panthers. They lost to the Alkins.
Alkins, yeah. I misread. Yeah, the Alkins.
That's the thing. The 49ers, so they lost to one of the best 4 teams in football, the Kansas City Chiefs. Their other 3 losses are 3 of the worst teams in football. The Falcons, the Bears, and the Broncos, of all teams.
In one of the uglier games this year, not that Denver really played many.
Yeah, and all those games were early.
Good.
All those games were early.
Yeah.
It was so strange.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up, we've got a special guest who will be joining us. Remember, every donation today that we get is going to be matched up to $30,000 by Nebraska Cancer Specialists. So when you make a donation of $10, it's instantly going to become $20. That's a cool thing that's going on today, and that's for the folks donating online to cancer.org/pinkout.
I went there. I donated during the last commercial break. Incredibly easy to do. As a young millennial, I used Venmo to donate. So you just do the little QR code. Boom, good to go.
Wow.
Look at that.
You.
Head nods from everyone.
Super cool.
Let's go.
I use the old-fashioned method.
You call them on a rotary phone?
No, I called my wife and said, we need to
check,
donate.
Honey?
No, she didn't write a check.
Okay. I thought you said
she
it the
may have
old
used
way.
Venmo too,
Okay.
but she donated online.
Oh, you didn't bring a glass jar?
Here's my change.
Why would I bring a glass jar? That's for you, Nick.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, some quarters.
That's
Got
for
my
you.
quarters.
All right, we're coming back with more of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Our paper drive continues at Hope Lodge, Nebraska, here at 80th and Farnham. Bring by some paper towels or some tissues, some toilet paper, whatever the case may be. You can register and win tickets to the remaining home games this year for the Creighton Blue Jays. We will be drawing for that later today. And for the online donors, go to our 1620 The Zone Twitter, our USC at USC 1620 Twitter, and you can win tickets to tomorrow's game between Creighton and Xavier. We're back after this from Hope Lodge, Nebraska on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everyone. Josh and John here for the FanDuel Sportsbook. We just got done talking about the NFC Championship game. Later on, we'll be talking about the AFC Championship game. And all customers this weekend can take advantage of a no-sweat same-game parlay, which means that you'll get free bets back if that same-game parlay for either game does not hit. We talked a lot, John, about running the football.
Run the ball.
In that previous segment. That might be one of the props that I would look at for this one, whether it's Christian McCaffrey, 58.5, by the way, is the total. We just got done talking about Jalen Hurts. Maybe have a lean on how much he will or won't run the football. 46.5 is the number. And then certainly throw in, at this time, throw in the money line. Pick the team that you like to win. And John, if you don't win, well, it is a no sweat same game parlay, and new customers sign up with our promo code 1620.
I just plugged in a same game parlay. I like the Eagles -2.5 and a Miles Sanders anytime touchdown. That'll pay you plus 260. So again, sign up with that promo code 1620. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. And right now, you get free bets back with a no sweat same game parlay if your bet for this weekend, either conference championship game, does not hit. That's with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus in President Iowa, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Hanley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer's given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Hanley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Partly to mostly cloudy skies for your Friday afternoon, with temperatures staying steady in the mid and upper 30s, but feeling more like the 20s with our breezy northwesterly gusts up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. Increasing clouds tonight with a 50% chance for light snow, especially well north of the metro as we head into our overnight hours. Omaha looking to pick up less than an inch of snow. Temperatures come tumbling Saturday, feeling more like the teens in single digits. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
When cancer hits home, when you need answers and hope, turn to Nebraska Medicine, where cancer care is world-leading and personal. In one visit, you'll meet with the team specializing in your cancer, discover treatments based on your DNA, and the support that makes a difference, like a nurse case manager and multiple locations, so you can always be close to home. For cancer, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/cancer.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Guys, let's face it, there is a time when you just need to get out of the house, to have your own place, to be with the guys, or just a quiet, relaxing place for yourself. Well, Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge hears you loud and clear. Settle in. Escape to Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge for an incredible selection plus premium cocktails, a knowledgeable, friendly staff, state-of-the-art humidor, and incredible lounge. Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 at 48th Street next to Covey's.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Are radon levels worse in the wintertime? Radon Defense Midwest tells us that indoor radon levels are normally at their highest in the winter or colder months because of the thermal stack effect. With a snowy barrier and tightly sealed homes, cold temperatures increase the pressure within the home, meaning more air is being pulled in from the ground, which elevates the risk of radon entering the home. Call for a special offer from our friends at Radon Defense Midwest. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer to 1620 The Zone listeners. radonradio.com. They'll test and, if necessary, mitigate the problem.
Your Creighton Blue Jays women's basketball welcomes the DePaul Blue Demons to DJ Sokol Arena for a Big East matchup Wednesday night. It's Creighton women's basketball versus DePaul, Wednesday night at 6 p.m. on 1180 The Zone.
You're listening to Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Grab your wife, grab your fiance, grab your girlfriend, grab the kids.
The 1620 The Zone.
John and Josh, Unsportsmanlike Conduct, back here at Hope Lodge, Nebraska, a place for cancer patients and a loved one for lodging for long-term cancer care here in the Omaha area. And if you missed it earlier, Robbie's interview with Tony, who was a cancer patient, a bone marrow transplant recipient at UNMC, and a resident here for about 3.5 months. Just a very powerful story. It really tells you everything you need to know about why a place like this is so important and why we are asking for paper product donations, whether they be paper towels, toilet paper, Kleenex, or cash donations. And if you go online, cancer.org/pinkout, Nebraska cancer specialists are going to be matching up to $30,000. So if you donate 10, it's going to be like 20, or 100, it's going to be like 200. And Dr. Kirsten Liu with Nebraska Cancer Specialists joins us here live at the Hope Lodge. Dr. Liu, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So important, and thank you very much for this. I believe this is not the first time you've done this, too. I believe you've done this in the past as well, this matching donation thing. Obviously, it's in your name, Nebraska Cancer Specialist, but why is this an important benefactor for what you want to accomplish?
Yeah, we are so excited to pair with the American Cancer Society to support the Hope Lodge here. It has been a game changer for our patients who are coming really from outside the Omaha area to get their cancer care. So I've had patients stay here throughout their radiation treatment. Some patients come in for clinical trials, and so they stay here while they're getting their trial treatment. So it's really been a real blessing to those patients to be able to stay here and not have to worry about their lodging. And that's what we really like to do, is try to take off any bit of stress that we can from those patients so they can really focus on what they need to do and take care of their cancer.
Do you notice a difference in the maybe mindset of a patient or the family here versus just a traditional hospital when they're going through all that?
Yeah, it's definitely more flexible for them. It's more comfortable. There's certainly a lot fewer rules and regulations when they stay here. So it's more like kind of a home away from home for them, especially for those radiation patients or the bone marrow transplant patients that stay for weeks at a time or sometimes months at a time. So it's just a lot more comfortable for them and a lot more home-like, as opposed to all the things that go along with staying in the hospital.
Dr. Kirsten Liu of Nebraska Cancer Specialists, tell us a little bit more about what you do at Nebraska Cancer Specialists, just what your overall mission is.
Absolutely. So we're a group of 12 medical oncologists here in Omaha, and then we have 4 medical oncologists out in Grand Island area. And we just focus on taking care of the whole cancer patient. And so we have subspecialists to take care of specific types of cancer, as well as general oncologists. And our goal is to try to support them as much as possible through all of this. So we have a lot of supportive services. Every patient gets to know their nurse case manager very well. That's a good one-on-one relationship so that they can call in any time and get the support they need. We have everything from counselors to dietitians to exercise classes and all those supportive services to really help the patient kind of live their best life, no matter what they're going through from a cancer standpoint.
How important was that relationship aspect that you could have with patients in kind of forging this career path for you?
Oh, it was very important. So back in my training, when I first was able to encounter cancer care, that's what drew me to it. And I think that's what draws a lot of us to it. Certainly the science behind all of the cancer care is super interesting, and it's a really exciting time to be an oncologist. I've been practicing for 20 years, and all of the new treatments that we have now that we didn't have 20 years ago, it's just a really good time to be an oncologist. And yeah, you get to know those patients and their families and their hopes and dreams, and you just do your best to get them to all those important events that they want to see.
One of the things that always stood out to me, my son went through leukemia, ALL, 10 years ago this summer up the hill here at Children's Hospital, and I heard about the progression in the survivor rates from the 60s and the 70s up until present. What's been the most encouraging thing to you, regardless of whatever specific kinds of cancers that you have seen in terms of the progression rates and the survivor rates versus where you were 20 years ago when you got into this?
Yeah, back in around 2000, it was a one-size-fits-all treatment approach for a lot of different diseases. So someone has breast cancer, you have drugs A, B, and C to use for them. And now it's a lot more specific towards exactly what that patient's molecular diagnosis is. And so we know now not all breast cancers are the same, and there are a lot of different treatment options we have for those, and we use those molecular characteristics of their tumors to identify what's going to be the best treatment for them. And another advance is that we're able to use more non-chemotherapy treatment options for patients, because we know not everybody benefits from that, but back 20 years ago that's what we had, so that's what everybody got. So it's a lot more personalized medicine now than it used to be, and that results in better outcomes.
So it's more, it's like, going to Target to buy, not that there's anything against Target clothes, but it's like going to a store to buy, stuff like this versus like a tailored suit. You can tailor the treatment now.
Yes. It's definitely tailored treatment. That's a good analogy.
I buy my clothes at Target.
Yeah. John shops there.
So
he's a man of the people.
I'm not there's nothing wrong with that. But for something like this, it is important because instead of one size fits all, we can really drill down to what works specifically for that patient.
Exactly. And so we aim for the treatment that's going to have the best efficacy with the fewest side effects, because then a lot more people are doing the things they want to do even while they're going through treatment now, because the treatments are less toxic and our supportive medicines are a lot better.
Just be glad I didn't use the analogy I used yesterday.
That's true. And I imagine, Doctor, with what you said about, the changes that have happened 20 years ago until now, it has to allow your mind to wander. What's it going to be like 20 years from now for the next generation of doctors and patients?
Definitely. And that's really encouraging for our patients because we have patients surviving a lot longer with metastatic disease and a lot better, frankly. And when we start a new treatment, we think, well, maybe, if this gets us through the next year or two, what else will be available? Because I have tools in the toolbox right now that I didn't have 2 years ago. So it's just continually improving, and that gives us doctors and, more importantly, our patients a lot of hope.
Formerly of the Chicago area, went to school in Iowa.
Iowa football fan, I hear.
Absolutely, yes. Go
boy.
Hawkeyes.
We're not going to hold that against you.
No. Everyone
not
is
at
just
all.
saying, hey, remember Black Friday?
You're only 10 miles away from the border. I mean,
This was not our year. That's okay, though. Maybe next year.
But are you enjoying what you're doing here in Nebraska, here at Nebraska Cancer Specialists?
Definitely. Where I'm practicing now, we have a lot of flexibility in how we take care of our patients. Every doctor has a little bit different practice pattern, and our group fully supports whatever it is we want to do to take the best care we can of our patients. So whether that's, the nurse case manager and, pulling in all these supportive services, it's great to be able to offer all of that to our patients, because I feel like we do a really good job of really supporting them through this with all those ancillary services.
Well, Dr. Lou, we really appreciate what all of the people we talk so much, like tomorrow we'll talk about the game being for survivors, being for the family. Mm-hmm. It's for the caregivers as well. Mm-hmm. I know how important these folks are to the entire process, the calm demeanor, the hey, we've got a plan. This is what we're going to do. So tomorrow is also about the caregivers and everything that you and your colleagues have done around the world in defeating cancer, because it used to be that you hear that word and it was a death sentence, and it's not, and it doesn't have to be.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for supporting the event tomorrow and the American Cancer Society, and we'll look forward to the game tomorrow.
Absolutely. Dr. Kirsten Liu. And again, remember,
much.
Every match, every donation that we get up to $30,000 is going to be matched by Nebraska Cancer Specialists. So please go online. We've got the link right there on our video page, cancer.org/pinkout, and make a generous donation, and we will make sure that gets matched as well. Dr. Liu, enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Stay warm.
Right.
Stay warm.
Because it's going to be very cold.
Thanks a lot.
As it always is. Dr. Kirsten Liu joining us here live at Hope Lodge, Nebraska. Again, raising all of the different paper products that we have. We'll take gift cards. We'll take cash donations. We'll take the online stuff as well. Mm-hmm. And if you do come in here in person, and there are signs, don't worry, off 80th and Farnham, there are signs that lead you back to the door you need to enter in. And they're nicely set up there down the hall from us. So you can just drop your stuff off. Make sure when you're there, register, and you can win season tickets to the rest of this year's men's basketball schedule, which includes not only tomorrow's game, but UConn is coming to town. Mm-hmm. Marquette is coming to town. Mm-hmm. Really good games still left in the Creighton basketball schedule, and we'll be drawing for that a little bit later on. Hope Lodge is just down the hill from Children's Hospital on 80th and Farnham. Please stop by. And we've got more of Unsportsmanlike Conduct, Kent's Movie Club. The menu. This is going to be an interesting conversation.
It's going to be very interesting.
That's coming up in about 15 minutes right here on 1620 The Zone.
Everyone, Josh and John here for the FanDuel Sportsbook, as we will continue to talk about as the show rolls on Conference Championship Sunday, but 2 days away. At about this time in 48 hours, the first half of the NFC title game should be about finished. And this weekend, new customers, you can bet on the Conference Championship games with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you got to do is plug in that promo code 1620. Maybe you like the 49ers on the money line. Maybe you like the Eagles to cover that line. Maybe you're looking at the second game and saying, why in the world would I bet against Patrick Mahomes at such a short number? Chiefs minus 1.5. Gimme. Anything like that, totals, prop bets, and more. You put in that promo code 1620 and $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet.
You see, the nice thing about the same game parlay, Josh, is you don't have to stay with the same side. You can bet on any prop as long as it's got that SGP logo next to it. So Cincinnati Bengals right now, you can take them on the money line. And you can add a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. Man's been on an absolute run in the playoffs over his career. That pays plus 373. That's what you can get with a same-game parlay right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. And again, $150 in free bets are guaranteed just when you place that first $5 bet. Just sign up using our promo code 1620. That's promo code 1620 on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Sunday, it's the championship round of the NFL playoffs as we bring you a special doubleheader. Hi, this is Scott Graham. Join me and the rest of our Westwood One crew for all the action. First, the top 2 seeds in the NFC square off when the Eagles host the 49ers. Then it's the Chiefs and the Bengals in the AFC title game for the second straight year. Who will advance to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona? Tune in to find out. Hear the playoff picture unfold right here.
If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, it's Nick Hanley for Woodhouse Mazda. Start the new year off right in a Mazda CX-5 from Woodhouse Mazda or Woodhouse Place Mazda, the Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers. It's what I drive and I love mine. They have inventory available on the lot and arriving daily. The suite of safety features includes blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and adaptive front lighting system. So as you turn a corner, the LED lights pivot in the direction you're turning. Shop online at WoodhousePlaceMazda.com or WoodhouseMazda.com. A drive worth experiencing.
Winning comes without a guarantee. Focus, discipline, and extraordinary effort make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Berry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Berry Law today. 402-999-7777.
As the world faces the challenges of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Lions recognize that kindness matters now more than ever. And Lions and Leos are finding ways to continue to serve our communities, including ordering food delivery for healthcare workers, holding story time for children online, and providing surgical masks to medical professionals and first responders. Empowering us to do more, Lions Clubs International Foundation has provided nearly $2.5 million in grant funding for COVID-19 relief. And that support continues to grow. For more than 100 years, in times of need, Lions always find a way to help those around them. And after we emerge from this, we will be stronger than ever. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Need a side hustle or career change? Now you can get certified to repair mobile devices in just 1 week. At the Metropolitan Community College Mobile Device Repair Academy, you can earn a national certification at our 1-week boot camp. Learn the skills you need to become certified and apply them during a 2-month internship. You may be eligible for special tuition funding. Classes start soon and space is limited. For more information or to enroll, visit mccneb.edu/mobile repair.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Welcome back to Hope Lodge, Nebraska. And again, cancer.org/pinkout. Please make a generous donation. The pinkout game tomorrow itself, beyond the pinkout and the emotion that's around it, it is a big basketball game.
Yeah.
The Jays still stuck on that one Q1 win right now on their resume. They are currently 1-5 against teams in Q1. Now, all of the other metrics, I mean, their net ranking is top 25. They're now 11th in KenPom. Right now, for a team that is that's 12-8 overall. It's kind of lends itself again to the quality of the schedule that they have played. I actually went back, Josh, because I was curious. Right now, if you look at the some of the brackets, the Tim Krugers of the world, the Mike DeCourcy's, the Joe Lenardi's.
So you're dipping your toe into the bracket matrix, but you're still not going all the way in.
Well, I haven't gone.
I'm looking at it.
I know you're looking at
there
it.
They are, 76 brackets out of 80. 9.76 is their seed line.
But a lot of bracketologists have just snuck them back into the bracket, like into the play-in game round on the low end of the
I'll smack about that in an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm sure. But all the metrics say, man, these guys are really good. Now, it should be noted, even the metrics like KenPom are predictive metrics, right?
Yes.
So it's predicting what you think is going to happen down the road. The committee will look at those, but generally speaking, it's not the biggest thing. It's more about what you have done than what you could do.
And like I always think about that when we'll talk about playoff debates and all these sports, and it's like, well, on a neutral site, this team would be favored by this many points over this team. It's like, yeah, but that team has more losses, and that's why you play the games. You have to at some point look at what you've actually done on the court and not what we believe you could do because either you're so talented or you played a tough schedule, yada yada yada.
But I did look back because I was curious. KenPom has been up and running since 2002.
Okay.
The highest ranked teams that season that missed out on the NCAA tournament. Now, these are all the final rankings at the end of the season. So these teams may have been in a little bit of a different spot when the actual selections were made. But usually by that point in the season, teams don't fluctuate very violently. So for example, last year, the highest ranked KenPom team that didn't make the tournament was Oklahoma. They were 30th. The year before that, it was Arizona, the 29th. 2019, Texas was 25th. Looking up and down this list, I count 1, 2, 3 teams that were rated in the teens as the highest ranked KenPom teams to fail to make the tournament. It was Penn State, 19th in 2018.
Wow.
It was South Carolina, 19th in 2006, and Georgia, 16th in 2003. Now, again, those are end of season rankings. So it doesn't totally reflect exactly where they were the day the tournament was selected.
Because that, like the Penn State team that you mentioned, the one
they went to the NIT.
They won the NIT,
right?
So that helped them as they went on that run in the NIT.
There is one asterisk to this, and that is SMU was 16th in 2016, but that team was barred from postseason play.
Okay.
So, but on average, and of course, if the Jays are sitting in that spot where they are on the wrong side of the bubble come Selection Sunday, my guess is going to be they're not going to be in the 11th spot right now, because if they continue to trend, and I looked at Warren Nolan this morning, the Jays are only projected to lose one more game this year.
Wow.
According to Warren Nolan. Now that's that's much less of an accurate depictor than a KenPom, I should say. I use accurate in quotes because none of these are 100% accurate. Otherwise, people would be leaning on them all the time and they'd be winning bets left and right.
Promo code 1620.
But yes, Creighton is going to be favored in the vast majority of their games. I believe they will be favored tomorrow. According to KenPom, they're going to be around a 3 to a 4 point favorite. Probably the only game they won't be favored in the rest of the season will be when they travel to Providence. And even that could be close based on.
So you think all the home games, even with the opponents, Xavier, UConn,
yes,
that they'll get the home bump?
Right. Yeah, they'll be favored because right now, and the reason I quote KenPom a lot is because at the end of the day, when the point spreads do come out, he's pretty close. It's kind of like with Bill Connolly and SP Plus. His spread of victory ends up being pretty close to what the point spreads actually are. Well, right now, second best team in KenPom in the Big East. UConn is 5 spots ahead of them, and right now, I would estimate that would be close to a pick'em game in Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see where it ends up, in a couple of weeks when that game actually takes place. But yeah, they're going to be there. Even if they're not favored in that one, they're going to be favored in all but 2 games the rest of the season, in my opinion.
It's funny to think, when you're in the midst of a season and you're paying attention to a team on a game-by-game basis and you're talking about them like so many fans are, so many media members are, it's a roller coaster, and this season has been a roller coaster. I wonder how this season will age at some point in the future, whether, and of course, a lot of it's going to depend on the success that they do or don't have in the NCAA tournament and the Big East tournament. But certainly the former more than the latter. Because a lot of the numbers back up them being like a much better team, I think, than we described them to be throughout the month. I mean, certainly throughout December. December, it reached some pretty low points. There was some real tough conversations that we had, whether it was you and I, whether it was with fans of Creighton that were reaching out to us, just like real down in the dumps type stuff. And now, a few weeks later, they've righted the ship. Certainly Kalkbrenner coming back has changed some things. I mean, I look back at what we talked about, yesterday after the win over St. John's on Wednesday. They didn't even shoot a ton of threes. They didn't make a ton of threes. And they're finding ways to still put up a lot of points to still win some of these basketball games. So, I don't know, I'm just curious in a couple months, how are we going to look back and view this team? Because it has been like game to game and really chunks, weeks to weeks to weeks. It's been, a different season than really I can remember in terms of just the volatility.
Sometimes you can be a prisoner of your reputation, and the reputation that was that had been built over the last decade was let it fly. And even though last year it took a step away from that because of personnel and because of circumstance, and they were still very successful, went to the NCAA tournament with more of a different, more of a slower pace style. This year, of course, was supposed to revert all the way back. But in all reality, where they look like they're headed right now, I would guess is kind of where Mac was hoping it would be. Even though let it fly has been the mantra, they have always desired to be better defensively than they had been.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Doug McDermott teams, I remember the one-off season where they wore 222 on their shorts because they had the 222nd rated field goal defense in the country.
Yeah.
They've always wanted to get better at that, and that's where Kalkbrenner comes in because he gives you that ability. Even though we talked so much about they want to get back to let it fly, they want to get back to pace and space, they still wanted that defensive efficiency. And when they lost Ryan Kalkbrenner for those handful of games, it really showed up because he is the rim protector. He is the center of their defensive universe. Now that he is back and he seems to be, as close to 100% as
he looks way better than he did in December.
It's not just about him, though. It's everybody else as well. Watch Arthur Kaluma. I think Arthur Kaluma has really improved his defense. Trey Alexander's been kind of given the reputation of the best on-ball defender. He's usually put on their best, wing shooter. You watch, Baylor Shireman, even though, Shireman maybe didn't come in with a reputation as a lockdown defender. He's a veteran. He's been at it for a long time. And I think, the team concept, you watch what he is asked to do out there. The team is playing better defense around Ryan Kalkbrenner. It's not just about Ryan Kalkbrenner. It's about everybody else. Now, tomorrow's going to be fascinating because, as we saw a couple weeks ago in Cincinnati, it's going to probably be a very high-scoring game. Xavier is a tough guard.
Yeah.
They are a really tough guard.
And they had their chances in that game.
They did. Soleil Boom is, in my opinion, I think he is the newcomer of the year in the conference. What he has meant to that team, he's totally changed that team. It was already a good Xavier team. They just underperformed last year. Now, they ended up going and winning the NIT, but they probably should have been an NCAA team last year. But I think that team has taken another step, and it's due in large part to him. But, when you're dealing with two bigs like Jack Nunge and Zach Fremantle who can pop out and shoot the three, it changes the way you have to guard them. And that's what makes this matchup really, really difficult. I expect this to be a very similar game to what we saw in Cincinnati, where neither team led by more than 7 points, and it's going to come down to the final few shots.
Yeah, and in a game like tomorrow's, I always think about, and we talk about this, I think, every year when we're doing this broadcast, just the emotions. It's an emotional day. So you combine it with it being a big game and then an emotional game because of what it represents elsewhere, and for Greg McDermott and for families, so many families inside of the arena, yourself included. And so it's like a real special day. And so then you add on top of that a really big game against the best team, the top team in the conference right now. It's just like, wow, how's this thing going to unfold?
All right, coming up next, it's movie club time. The menu.
The menu. John, say it with some excitement. The menu.
The menu.
You can watch it. You can watch it on HBO Max.
Menu.
How great is that?
Oh, you can watch it on HBO Max, all right.
Wow, I look forward to finding out why you hate this movie so much. Sad.
I
Very
haven't
sad.
said I hated anything.
Yeah, either that or you're just gonna say you're sandbagging it. You're being a sandbag boy.
Sandbag and Bishop.
I'm not a sandbagger. Kent's going to join us next. We'll be back live from Hope Lodge, Nebraska. Again, cancer.org/pinkout to make an online donation, or you can drop by anything here, paper products, especially here to 80th and Farnham. And we'll be back with more from Hope Lodge, Nebraska after this on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center, looks like an earlier crash on Bedford Ave at 38th is in cleanup stages, causing a slight delay through there. If you're east on I-80, delays between 72nd and 60th. Also slow going on southbound 60th between I-80 and J Street. And then if you're west on Dodge, couple-minute delay between 680 and 120th. I'm Mike Neville.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
In a house in Omaha, people gather in the kitchen. They don't talk about school and work. They talk about doctors and surgeries. They're the families of Ronald McDonald House Charities in Omaha. And the kitchen is where they come together to share the struggles their children are facing. For these families, it's the little things like a home-cooked meal, even while far from home, that make the biggest difference. Volunteer to prepare a meal by visiting rmhcomaha.org.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Your Creighton Blue Jays women's basketball welcomes the DePaul Blue Demons to DJ Sokol Arena for a Big East matchup Wednesday night. It's Creighton women's basketball versus DePaul, Wednesday night at 6 p.m. on 1180 The Zone.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Nick Hanley here for my friends at DJ's Dugout. There's so much going on in sports now. Pro football playoffs, college and pro basketball, college and pro hockey, and more. DJ's Dugout is an Omaha tradition to gather with family and friends to cheer for your team. Great food and tall beers, too. Man, love me some of those. Voted Omaha's #1 sports bar and my favorite, too. 7 metro area locations. DJ's Dugout is locally and Vietnam veteran-owned. Dig in at the Dugout.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Friday, the final day of the week. These are the voyages of the program Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Its ongoing mission to explore strange new movies, to seek out new bits and new edifications, to boldly go where no radio program has gone before. Elkent's Movie Club. It's Elkent's
No, I just checked.
I can hear now. Now it went.
We can't hear Kent now.
I can't hear you guys.
Yes. I don't see what the issue would be.
I can hear you, Nick.
Oh, hi, Kent.
Hello.
I'm going to try. Kent, can you hear us now?
That was plenty echoey.
All right, never mind.
Gotcha.
We figured it out.
We figured it out.
You can hear us?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I have no idea what we did.
I don't know either.
All right.
Hi, Kent. This
Good
is Mr. X. As you can tell, all of our technology is working great today. I'm a silhouette.
My goodness.
And the audio is wonderful. Well, you know what? This is a perfect. No,
it's not. You stop
beginning to reviewing this movie, The Menu. I think it's absolutely perfect. Nick, you chose this.
No, Josh
chose this.
I chose this.
All right, tell the folks about The Menu streaming on HBO Max.
I'm ready. I want to hear this.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to spoil anything. Well, I'm going to try my best. Kent is usually the guy we ask to do the new movies because he's very, very good at telling us what it's about without getting too much into the plot. I think I can do it, though. The foodie culture. People love food and going to expensive, fancy restaurants where they're going to get a once-in-a-lifetime experience because on a night-by-night basis, it's going to be entirely different menu items. That's what it is. It's these very well-off folks. They go to this island where a very famous chef is with a, collection of people, sous chefs or what, I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, he's got an army of chefs.
Lots of people. They make food that is, it's one of those X amount of course meals where you're going to have little bits piece by piece. And
7 courses.
7 courses. And that's kind of what it is. They go there. I thought it was great. Kent, I love this movie. John has been emo about it all week long.
It's such a good movie.
Okay, so are you sandbagging it or do you actually dislike it?
I freaking love this movie.
Okay, this movie was awesome.
It was so good.
Now, I got to explain. I went into this pretty blind. The only thing I knew about it was, when you click on the HBO Max and it shows you the big, splash page, and it said something about, food and horror. That's all I saw.
Okay.
That's all I saw. That's the only thing I knew about this. Outside of seeing whoever the actors were in the picture, I didn't know who produced it, directed it, wrote it, whoever was behind it.
Okay.
So I just went into this with the mindset of it's going to be a horror film.
Okay.
I did not go into this with a mindset that it was going to be a dark comedy.
Oh my gosh, one of the funnier movies I've seen in years.
Now, I have to take you back a few years, but my friend and I used to rent these really bad 80s, horror films, Toxic Avenger and all these different things. And we would laugh at the inappropriate stuff.
Sure. Sounds like my friend.
So when I was laughing at some of the inappropriate stuff in this, I felt bad because I thought it was trying to be serious, right?
Oh, and then you realized, no.
Then I realized about 2/3 of the way through, okay, this is really a dark comedy.
It's a satire.
It is, and it was a really good satire.
Yes.
And then I'll tell you, the last laugh line I got was when the credits started to roll, and it said executive producers Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, and I lost it. I was like, of course it was them. I did. I loved this movie. This is one of my tops that we have ever had in the movie club of the movies I've never seen.
Awesome.
Wow.
It was really good, I thought, Kent.
Well, I will tell the reaction is this is one of those movies that either you think that was great or you absolutely hate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't there's no way to come down in between, I don't think, with this movie, right?
Yep.
And there are people that I know that absolutely hate it, right? For obvious reasons. But you have to buy into it. and you have to understand, I think your point that it's a dark comedy is what you have to absolutely understand, right? That it's a satire. And
what,
if you do that, then it's fun. It's entertaining movie that makes a point. And it's interesting that it came out. There are a number of other sort of eat the rich kind of movies out there right now, which I'm not sure what that indicates, but this is one of them. But this is maybe the most pointed of those, and by far the most. There's some plenty of disturbing stuff in there, so you probably don't want to take any of that seriously.
You know, one of the things, Kent, that I think I really liked about it was that it made fun of everybody. It made fun of, you mentioned Eat the Rich. So the customer base that shows up at this restaurant, they all carry with them some sort of baggage. And in particular, the tacos scene was one of the ones that had me absolutely howling in this movie. But so they all come in with the baggage, right? And then, of course, you know, I have read one of the Anthony Bourdain book. So I kind of understand, like, look, the chef culture, the staff culture, you know, I mean, there's a lot of burnout, right? And a lot of stuff that can happen with people in that type of industry. And so these people, they care about their craft immensely, but they also despise their customer base. And I think one of the things that continued to get me, and I do this, I'm guilty. I'll go to a place and it's like, oh, this is a good looking meal. I'll take a picture. But man, when you see someone else taking a picture of their food, it's like, is there ever a more punchable face than the main character? He keeps doing it. And it's just like, like everyone looks so dumb when they take pictures of food. And yet sometimes I do it. I try not to, and yet I do.
The Tyler character, who's the first character we meet, who's going there with his lady friend, he was the one where you were, at least for me, I was rooting for a laughable death for him because he was so annoying. He was so over the top, even when, you know, and it's kind of a slow burn, but once you realize, like, into the second or third course that, okay, everybody in the room realizes things are way off here. Something is way off here. And this guy is still leaning into, oh, but this is all part of the show. This is what it is. And he's quoting all of this stuff. And by the end, you're like, man, I hope this guy just has the dumbest death possible, you know, for him. But I loved it. And the food critic there with her publisher.
They were hilarious.
They were absolutely.
Oh, wow, it has notes of this and this and this.
Hilarious, but true. You know.
Yes.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
That's your pretentious critic of every kind, but really, the food critics are really terrible about that. The interesting thing is he knew who she was, because the real big time, like New York Times or whoever, food critics try to stay anonymous. So
right. You don't know they're being.
This was a shot at them in that way too, as well. And wasn't Ray Fiennes terrific?
Oh, Ray Fiennes was amazing. He plays the chef, and he's got this thing when every course is starting, he comes out and claps his hands, and everything goes silent, like he's some kind of a military drill instructor or something.
Yes, yeah.
And he just has this
chef.
And you know, and you need this, whether it's a serious horror film or a dark comedy horror film, you need that person who just has that stone face and doesn't show a lot of emotion. Those are, to me, the scariest types of villains, the ones that are just like, the Peter Cushings, just very, and I thought he was perfect. As the chef. He was really good.
And I thought the ending of this movie was perfect as well.
Yeah.
Because
very well earned.
And it doesn't follow every trope in the world, which is good.
And I'm not going to spoil the last meal that they have in this movie, but we ended up having that meal for dinner the next night because we were like, wow, that piece of food, that one particular thing they ate looked so tasty. And then we made that at home, and it was very, very good.
The best part about that, and again, I'm not going to try to spoil this, but after every course, they would do a they would do a cutaway to a picture of the dish
Oh my God.
with a brief explanation
Yeah, yeah.
as if you were watching a Food Network show. And the one they did for the very last course, if you read the description, had me on the ground.
I paused the movie every time one of those came up because I wanted to read every
You
single
wanted to
part.
make sure you didn't miss something.
Yeah.
You didn't want to miss something.
Anya Taylor-Joy, she was great as well.
Amazing.
I don't know if you've ever seen Queen's Gambit,
Do
show
it?
about a
Yeah.
chess prodigy. She was the chess prodigy.
Yeah, she plays the girlfriend or the lady accompaniment of the main foodie.
And
the
you
Tyler.
can tell early on, like, something's off with this relationship. She's not, well, first of all, she's not the woman that was originally supposed to come with him because it's a relationship that's ended. And so immediately you're like, okay, what's really going on with this relationship? They don't, I don't know. I don't want to say they don't really get along, but they don't really get along and they kind of have some issues. And over the course of the movie, you find out why. But I thought, Kent, she had a lot of depth. I thought that this character was pretty unique versus the ones that I have seen her play in the past where, usually she's a very attractive woman, obviously. That's where her character can kind of lean on, I think, at times. Whereas this, I don't really feel like that was the story. It was what's really going on with this person, the background that she has, and maybe why she is the person that she is. And the chef, in turn, he was pretty intrigued by her as well.
Well, because she's the regular person.
Mm-hmm.
She's not the rich people. She's not the foodie. She's not the chef. She's just the regular person, right? So
Yep.
she's our eyes in a sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And she was good at it. But that's what the role that she fits in there. You've got to have somebody in a movie that represents the regular person, right? You have in a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't not, right? Because if they're all somebody you want to hate, then it doesn't give you any, there's no, what do you want to call it, latitude in there for, to make the contrast, right? Because because of what her background was, is it impacts all these other people and makes even more fun of them in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you needed a normal person. Everyone else is rich or, pretentious.
Now,
or a
I will
combination.
ask this because everybody in the room that we described, and there's an elder, or not elderly, but we'll call it an upper middle age couple.
Yep.
Who's there? And there's a tie back to the character we were just talking about.
Sure is.
There are some young capitalists, investors who
Those guys sucked.
Whose
Hated 'em.
investments were basically funded the chef's enterprise.
An actor.
Yeah, the washed-up actor played by John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
Everybody in the room had a reason for you to wish them ill, but I do want to ask John Leguizamo's assistant, Felicity. Did anyone think that she didn't deserve to be there?
I thought that it was more of a, like, he brings her along because, like, they obviously had a relationship that went beyond.
But she was the only character I didn't feel like,
He
man.
might
I
have been
hope
the other one that
I see what you mean. Yeah, where you didn't want her to meet her end.
Yeah.
And the chef had his mom there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. When again, going back to the tacos, which I think was my favorite one, when he starts off telling that story about Taco Tuesday. Just incredible. And then
and it was Taco Tuesday, by the way. There are local drops. Waterloo, Iowa.
Yep.
Grand Island.
And Grand Island, Nebraska.
Island.
Mentioned.
I forgot
in
about
this
Grand
movie.
Island. Yep.
Yeah,
Grand
Taco
Island.
Tuesday in Waterloo.
Tough look for Waterloo.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil. Well, just the meal that they serve and accompany with that.
That was awesome. Those tacos were great.
I loved it so much.
Yeah. See, Nick, you were a fan, obviously.
Absolutely. And on the Reddit, I don't have an eye for fashion or design or whatever, but I was seeing people say that even the costume design for Anya Taylor-Joy's character, it wasn't like a fancy dress. I think somebody found it on like a, not discount, but a cheaper, it's more of a realistic kind of style that she wore there. Further setting her apart from the other.
I noticed that,
there.
Nick. Yeah, it was not a nice looking dress at all. Like that you would expect an Anya Taylor-Joy character to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Daniel points out she was stealing from that character. The assistant was. That's right. There was a.
Okay.
Yeah, I also
but even then, I didn't feel any like, oh man,
disdain for her.
Yeah, this person deserves, some kind of grisly finish. But that's neither here nor there. I just.
I think that kind of adds to the dark comedy aspect of it too,
Yeah,
right?
it
Because
does.
some of the reasoning,
Yeah.
The other thing that I don't know if you guys have ever done one of these like 7-course meal type things.
I can't.
We've done something at the venue before. I don't know. It wasn't this fancy, but something similar.
Does Roncalli count?
I did one at Emerald's restaurant in New Orleans, and he happened to be there that night and was the chef, and he came out and talked to everybody, right?
Oh,
Or I don't know
wow.
if he talked to everybody, but he talked to us anyway, and it was like that was eerily right. I mean, it wasn't the same, but it was like, man, these people got it right.
Was his last
That
course
was
just
not
as
cheap.
exciting?
I can't remember what we paid, but it was not cheap. But it was the anecdote that I will waste your time with is one of the courses was a steak, and it was fabulous, right? And he comes out right after that, and I said something to him, and he said, and he asked where we were from, and I told him Nebraska and talked about the steak, and he said, well, you could have flown it down with you. He said, I get all my steaks from a place outside Omaha.
No way.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I mean, I understand why people wouldn't like it.
Oh, totally. It's like when you tweeted out, and you've been having fun with us all week,
Yes.
and there was a part
I
that
wanted to slow play. Well, honestly, the only other thing that I had as contextual clues as to what this might be was when somebody last week brought up the platform, and Kent kind of had that look on his face, and I was like, "Oh crap! Are we in the store for one of these?"
Yeah.
So that was the only other thing that I had going into this. But again, now I don't feel bad for laughing at the parts that I laughed at.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be serious. I won't watch it again right away, but I will watch this again.
Yeah.
Because I want to pick up some of the other things now that I've kind of absorbed it, that maybe I didn't get the first time.
Yeah, I thought I was talking about with Riss when we finished it, and she goes, so what did you think? What did you give it on Letterboxd? I gave it 4.5 out of 5. It like John said, this is one of my favorite movies that I have seen for the first time since we've been doing this. It was darkly funny, and just that culture, because I don't consider myself a foodie, but I definitely like going to places with good food and different unique types of foods. And this movie just kind of made me hate the idea of doing that, just because I don't want to be like one of those types of people that goes to a place like this, but obviously I would if I could.
And that's the other thing that's unique about it, Kent. We've seen the horror genre tackle all kinds of different things, but the food culture, this high-end food culture thing, has been a thing that for quite a few years now, especially since Food Network, became popular television. The fact that maybe this genre hadn't been poked at before is another reason why it seemed very fresh to me.
Yeah, and even if it hadn't been, it had never been poked at. I mean, there have been some passages in movies that have sort of made fun of it, but not made it the center and really hit it the way this did, right? I agree with you.
Anyone else have anything to add?
Watch it.
Yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you like dark comedies. I think it now. You got to think a little bit, but not too much. And just ride with it. Just give it a chance. Just ride with it.
Only an hour 45.
Yeah, and it's only an hour and 45 minutes, and it's not, even though it basically only takes place in one room. Most of the movie, probably 90% of the movie, only takes place in one room. I think it flows really well.
Yeah, and it gets going pretty quick too.
The only caveat is this would be one that I would say this is not for the faint of heart. If you're you're squeamish,
don't eat while you watch this.
Blood and all kinds of stuff. Don't. This is not the movie for you.
Right. I would agree. The Menu, streaming right now on Netflix. Do you think
HBO Max
or HBO Max? I'm
HBO
sorry,
Max.
HBO Max. Now this came out last year. Is it already passed as far as any possible award nominations?
Yeah, it didn't get nominated for anything with the Oscars.
Yeah, it's not. This is not the kind of movie that's going to win awards. That's just how it works.
Ray Fiennes, I really thought
great,
really good.
But you look at who got nominated, and I'll just pick an example of a movie I saw this week. Bill Nighy was nominated for Living, in which he plays this buttoned up 1950s English bureaucrat who learns he has a terminal cancer diagnosis and changes his life, but it's very actorly and very serious. They're not going to nominate somebody who is playing pure straight up satire in a way. So yeah, that's the sort of a contrast between what gets nominated. I think it's not the kind of performance, but he was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
All right,
John.
Well, next week, this was one when I saw it came out, and I think maybe Kent, you reviewed it for us 10 years ago. It's 10 years old now, but it's now streaming on Prime Video. Parkland. The story of Parkland Memorial Hospital, the place where JFK was taken. The day of the assassination.
Okay.
It is about that day and the 2 days that followed, and really follows the story of the doctors, of Abraham Zapruder, the man who took the famous film, and the FBI agents that were involved. So it's not about JFK, but it's about the stuff kind of surrounding that day.
Exactly.
And it's on Prime Video.
That was a long time ago. It's vague in my memory. So
10 years ago, 2013.
And it's on Prime. We just tweeted out the link.
Coach Prime?
And it's got a real, you've got Billy Bob's in it. Zac Efron, I believe, is in it, if I remember right. Marcia Gay Harden is in it. So it's got a pretty good cast. Paul Giamatti plays Zapruder, Abraham Zapruder. So it's got a pretty good cast.
All right.
And that will be next week in the movie club. Kent, you got any plans this weekend? No, 2 football games on Sunday, but do you have a game to cover?
I do not, because the fine Huskers are on the road. Not that they're playing somebody that's ranked, and I don't think there's a women's game here this weekend.
There you go.
So I have Sunday will be my football day.
Who do you like to go to the Super Bowl?
Well, I've been saying all along Philadelphia or San Francisco and Kansas City, and I think I'm going to flip it completely.
Philly and Cincy. Well, Kent, we appreciate the time, and thanks a lot for joining us. And again, check it out, The Menu on HBO Max. Kent, have a great weekend.
You do the same. See you guys.
You bet. Kent Wogelmont of the Lincoln Journal-Star. That was, I knew going in that I thought, okay, I'm going to play this up as the platform part 2, just to see if I could get you guys off the trail. I really did. I really did enjoy it.
It's a fun movie. Aaron texts in. He says, great way to describe it, Josh. This was early on in the conversation. It plays on chef culture so much, and it plays directly on Chef's Table, which is on Netflix and is awesome. A funny way to play on the culture. Great acting, too. Is that what you were trying to say there, Dan? Dan wrote something down. I couldn't tell what he was trying to say.
Yes, and I'm so sorry. I didn't want to, interrupt the great conversation.
Oh, thank you.
I went out to the car to go pack a couple things up, and I was listening in the car, and I was like, why am I doing this? They're literally right inside the building that I'm outside of right now. I'm an idiot. But no, so it's funny that that person noticed that it was kind of a take on Chef's Table. And as John mentioned, after they get served the meal, kind of that rotating view of like the
Is that
plate,
from Chef's Table?
that is directly taken from Chef's Table. And fun fact, the creative consultant on this movie is 3 Michelin star chef Dominique Crenn, who is the only female 3 Michelin starred chef in North America. And that ties all back into what I was saying earlier, because she was on the first season of Chef's Table.
All right. Good to know.
All right.
I never heard of Chef's Table until this last week.
No, I have not either.
Good? You like it?
Yes.
All right.
They have pizza, they have dessert, and they have just like regular chef's tables. And they don't just do American chefs, which is kind of nice. They go to some pretty exotic locations and will have like a Buddhist monk or Magnus Nielsen, who's a guy in Sweden who basically has a restaurant that's out in the middle of nowhere.
Interesting. All right, I'm intrigued.
All right, still to come. We are live here at Hope Lodge, Nebraska, American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. Please, if you can, drop by a paper product, Kleenex, Bounty Towel, Charmin, whatever the case may be, for all the fine folks who have to stay here while they're getting their life-saving cancer treatment. You can also donate online, cancer.org/pinkout. Donations through the weekend, by the way, online that they get will be matched up to $30,000 by Nebraska cancer specialists. If you are going to the game tomorrow, the fine folks from American Cancer Society will be taking collections prior to the game. And also there will be a QR code on the back of all of the I Stand For signs that will be held up during the game. There's a QR code on the back where you can also make an online donation. And again, cancer specialists, Nebraska cancer specialists, matching up to $30,000. And we will continue with more of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Josh's questions for the AFC Championship game are next.
All right, let's
on
do it.
1620 The Zone.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. Whether it is watching a movie like the one that we watched for today's movie club, whether it is spending time on my computer getting ready for the show, or certainly going to sporting events like the one that John will be at tomorrow, we need to be able to see great when we are participating in everyday life. Well, Kugler Vision, if you've been struggling, they will help you see even better than you ever have before, or maybe bring back something that you have lost as you have aged. Maybe readers have been something that you have had to introduce to your everyday life, whether it's sitting down for a good book or anything else. Also, if you struggle with seeing up close, seeing far away, astigmatism, they can help you out. They do something that you will not find anywhere else in Nebraska. That is performing all 7 FDA-approved forms of modern vision correction. Give them a call today at 402-558-2211. You can schedule the consultation with that phone number in just minutes, or you can also do so online at kuglervision.com.
1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Hanley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer is given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Hanley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Your Friday evening forecast will include mostly cloudy skies throughout the evening and overnight. Snowfall will be arriving, especially after midnight. On and off light snow showers possible throughout your Saturday morning. Mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon with the falling temperatures. Temperatures will continue to cool to near zero by Sunday morning. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KTV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center, heads up a crash on Bedford Ave at 38, still causing some delays in that area. Slow going on westbound Dodge between 680 and 120th. If you're south on 60th, delays between I-80 and J Street. And then if you're east on I-80, a few delays between 84th and 72nd. I'm Mike Neville.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
It's a celebration of love at Saul's Jewelry and Loan. Now through Valentine's Day, get 50% off a huge selection of jewelry. Diamond rings, 50% off. Gold chains, 50% off. Bracelets, 50% off. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. It's the celebration of love sale at Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
It's the lowest month-to-month rate of the year with no contract and no enrollment fees at Genesis Health Clubs. It won't get any lower than this, and enrollment fees are waived to celebrate 2023. Hurry, just 4 days left. Hi, I'm Rodney Steven. It's the new year, and you have set your New Year's resolutions, right? Well, it's time to go. I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is, if you don't get started, your New Year's resolutions won't happen, and you'll be in the same place next year. You have to take that first step and build habits that will change your life forever. One of my favorite quotes is, if it is to be, it is up to me. And that is absolutely true. And we know you can do it. We'll help you every step of the way. We help hundreds of thousands of people reach their fitness goals each year. And what about you this year? Join Genesis Health Clubs for our lowest month-to-month rate that we'll offer in all of 2023. Plus, no enrollment fees and no contracts. 4 days left. It will not get any better than this. Join at GenesisHealthClubs.com now because this special won't last. Hurry, just 4 days left.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Are you looking for tickets for the next big event? Be sure to check out my friends at ticketsforless.com. They're going to take care of you all of the best seats to the biggest local events, and they've also got great seats to events nationwide. Now, the one thing with ticketsforless.com that I love is they never charge per ticket fees. And you know what? With that, you can save hundreds of dollars over other resale websites. You can lock in a special discount right now when you use the special code THEZONE at checkout at ticketsforless.com. Simply enter the code THEZONE at checkout, and you're going to earn an exclusive listener discount. Memories for life start at ticketsforless.com.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA member FDIC.
This is a sale so big that Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, and for a very limited time, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Carrier, turn to the experts. On qualifying equipment, for details, call or click.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson.
We are the Broncos. Here we are.
The 1620, The Zone.
Let me check out my FanDuel here and let's see.
Has the line moved
again? Line moved again. It may actually stabilize this time, folks. It may actually stabilize.
It hasn't moved. 1.5.
Still 1.5.
Still
one
code
and a half.
1620.
Nice, Nick. By the way, NFC title game is still 2.5.
I mean, that's been there the whole time. I don't think it's budged.
And I don't know if it'll move. I mean, you
I
don't
don't know
want
if it
to
will
get
either.
to 3, just given what you could do in terms of betting and what people could do in terms of betting.
All right, so Josh has questions for the AFC Championship game. If you missed it earlier, we had our 49ers guest and we talked NFC Championship, but now AFC time.
AFC Championship game questions. I got 4 of them. Let's begin with this. Can the Bengals slow down the Kansas City run game? Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, they combined for 117 yards on 22 carries back in the regular season matchup. And I think, John, this one is so important for me just because of, again, the mobility question that is going to surround Patrick Mahomes until we see him on the field on Sunday night. So this is something, in my opinion, that Cincinnati definitely cannot allow to happen, because if the Chiefs are able to succeed with the run game this year or this weekend, oh my gosh, at that point, like, they're still going to be able to throw Mahomes. You want them to feel like they have to drop back and throw the ball every single time. Just given, again, the question surrounding the mobility of Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City's offense, 8th in the league in yards per carry. this season. And a lot of that, in my opinion, would come with a fear of Mahomes and the passing game. So if he is changing things with the lack of mobility, this is maybe a spot where Cincinnati could make some hay. So that would be the first one, and that's when Kansas City has the ball and Cincinnati's on defense.
You know what's interesting? Patrick Mahomes was the best quarterback this year, according to ESPN's QBR, inside the pocket. And you anticipate that's where he's going to have to do his work, is inside the pocket. When they faced the Bengals in Week 13, it was one of his best QBR outings of the season inside the pocket and one of his worst outside the pocket. So you could say that if this game plays out similar to last game, this may be a place where Patrick Mahomes will feel comfortable because he played well inside the pocket against the Bengals and not so much when he was on the run. Well, now, because of limitations, he probably won't be on the run. So if that repeats itself, that's good news for Kansas City.
Other question for the Bengals for me, can Joe Burrow continue to connect at an incredible rate? I went back to last year's matchups and then the one that he has this season. He has gone 78 for 108 in terms of passing. 72.2% completion percentage Joe Burrow has in his career against the Chiefs. This year, it was almost 81%. He completed 25 of 31 passes. Cincinnati can go deep, but the thing that really jumped out to me last week, John, was that quick decision-making with some of those short passes. And look, I mean, we talked about it last week, and the Bengals offensive line, they did a tremendous job running the football especially, and I think that caught the Bills off guard. But Chris Jones, Frank Clark, those guys are obviously great pass rushers. So is he going to be able to have that success, whether it's efficiency, whether it's just overall time in the pocket? I mean, I think Burrow, you and I would agree, great job at using his mobility to move and shape the pocket, but it didn't really cost him last week. You know, I still think, and we talked about this on Monday, the weather, I think, ended up being to the detriment of the Bills, which is odd because they were the home team. It's going to be cold in Kansas City, but the surface is not going to be slippery. And so I think the offensive line for the Bengals is going to be a little bit worse. So I think that's going to put a little extra pressure on Burrow, which, I mean, he likes that stuff. He's fine with the pressure in terms of the general sense of pressure, but I also think it's going to result in pressure by the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line.
Well, when you talk about pressure, Burrow and Mahomes lead the league in touchdown passes thrown within 2.5 seconds of the snap.
Yeah.
Burrow's got 19 touchdown passes. Mahomes has 18 touchdown passes. So these guys are used to playing quick, and it seems to benefit their game. Also, so as we talk a good thing about Kansas City earlier with Mahomes being inside the pocket versus outside the pocket, if this is a red zone game, it's good news for Cincinnati because the Bengals not only are one of the better offensive red zone teams, fifth, they're one of the better defensive teams. And in a game that could be high scoring, the difference in a high scoring game is going to be which team has to settle for field goals versus which team gets touchdowns. If that becomes that type of a game, advantage Cincinnati based on the team's reputation in the red zone. It's been one of the stranger weaknesses at times over the last couple of years is sometimes Kansas City, as explosive as they are, sometimes bogs down in the red zone.
And Buckhurst struggled at times this year too. So
and exactly. So even the field goal isn't an automatic option. Meanwhile, you've got Cincinnati's kicker, and his name just escaped me. McPherson. One of the best kickers we've seen the last couple of years. He, of course, made the game winner last year.
Yeah, he was awesome at the end of last season, especially. Kansas City questions. What does Travis Kelce do for an encore? Last week versus the Jaguars, 17 targets, 14 catches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last year in the AFC Championship game, the win by Cincinnati, 11 targets, 10 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. And I would look at the regular season game, like we've spent so much time talking about, like Joe Burrow, clutch, all of these things. But the play that turned that game was the fumble that Kelce had at midfield. He only had 25 yards, though he did add a touchdown in last year's regular season game as well. I mean, we see it, though, man. The guy is a matchup nightmare. And it's like, it's been so funny, like reading the discourse this week, because it's like, why don't they just do X, Y, and Z? Why don't they just chip him? Why don't they have 4 guys defending him? It's like, he's the best tight end in the NFL for a reason. I look forward to seeing that chess match and what he can do. And look, I'll just follow up with my final question. How does the lack of mobility for Mahomes show itself most? Because the easy answer, I think, is sacks. Like, oh, they'll get to him more. But as we talked about it on Monday. We talked about it with Mitch Holtis on Wednesday. Off schedule, his throws are the most impressive in the NFL. Being able to do things the second, third, and fourth Reed. We saw an offense that completely changed when he was hurt last week, and it still succeeded. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. What does that mobility look like? And I would even break it down. What's it look like first quarter to second quarter to third quarter and to fourth quarter over the course of this game? But that's where Kelsey, of course, can be a big help. They have tremendous chemistry. They always have. What those two do together, I mean, that's going to be the story of the game. It's really going to be when Kansas City has the ball versus that Cincinnati Bengal defense.
It's something I've been predicting and fearing would happen. Knock on wood, it hasn't really manifested itself yet.
Oh, the roughing the passer?
The roughing the passer. Well, the official for this week's game, Chiefs fans, listen up, get your hate mail ready, is Ron Tolbert. But his crew threw the fifth fewest flags in the league, and it threw the fewest flags for defensive pass interference, illegal contact, and defensive holding. Third fewest in those three categories. So it might be a pretty clean game from a penalty standpoint. I still have a
it's probably going to happen in the Super Bowl.
A bad suspicion that a questionable roughing the passer penalty is going to change one of these games. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, seriously.
But that's just my natural pessimism.
Should be great, man. Like these two quarterbacks, you have the best quarterback in the game and all the equity he has built up. Then you have the guy that I think has taken the mantle for the next generation when it was supposed to be Josh Allen or Justin Herbert, or other players as well. I mean, Jalen Hurts certainly was on his way maybe towards an MVP, but it's been Joe Burrow who has been the guy in that next level of the young guys in the game. He has more playoff wins than like all of the previous quarterbacks combined. I mean, it's crazy. And like, that's the dream, right? To be a woebegone franchise and to get that guy where this is the cool part about this game. Both teams are entering, I think, with no doubt in their quarterback. The NFC Championship game, like if you get some honest Eagles fans, some honest 49ers fans, they're probably gonna be like, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what Hurts does or what Brock Purdy does.
And even if they have confidence in Hurts in general, you wonder about his health.
Yeah, and even, that said, Chiefs fans, they don't even seem to doubt anything, even with the injury to Mahomes. And that's what you want. You want to be a fan of Cincinnati or Kansas City where you're like, all I know is my quarterback's going to make plays. Like, I didn't go into last Sunday's game. I know that was one of my biggest concerns. Yeah. I had many doubts that Dak Prescott could win the football game. These two teams, their fan bases, no doubt that their quarterback's going to win them the game. And yet one of them's going to lose.
We want to encourage you to come on by. We are still here until 6 o'clock at the Hope Lodge, Nebraska, a place for cancer patients and loved ones to get some long-term lodging while they go through their very important life-saving treatments. We heard the interview earlier today with Ravi about one of the folks who was here. Man, what a powerful interview of just how important it is, because cancer can not only obviously hurt your life, but it can hurt your life savings. Even if you survive the disease, it literally saved this man and his family from bankruptcy and from ruin, being able to have a place to stay for 90 days or 100 days while they're in town for their very important treatment. That's why we're doing the Creighton versus Cancer Initiative. That's why all of the proceeds have come to both building this place and keeping the lights on. Bring by a paper product, make a donation, and you can sign up and register for tickets to see the rest of the Jays home schedule in person at CHI Health Center Omaha. And if you can't do that in person, please make a donation online, cancer.org/pinkout. And we will be back. We're going to talk some Cincinnati Bengals coming up next, as Mitch Stacy of the Associated Press will preview the Bengals for us coming up on Unsportsmanlike Conduct and 1620 The Zone. John Bishop here from McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, and it is going to get colder over the weekend. And if you have not thought about maybe getting your furnace inspected, please do so. Gas furnace owners especially, because the heat exchanger can wear out over time, and that's when carbon monoxide can leak into your home's air. That can become a very dangerous, dare I say, deadly problem. So don't be a statistic. Get an inspection of your furnace today from McCarthy's. McCarthy's, of course, will be there on time. Why? Because they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. It's been their promise for over 50 years. And right now, with each maintenance inspection through the end of February, McCarthy's 1 Hour will offer half off on a carbon monoxide detector. You should have one of those as well. So please,
Get in touch with my friends at McCarthy's, 855-1-HOUR, or McCarthy's1hour.com. McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, always on time or you don't pay a dime. McCarthy's1hour.com.
The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Creighton Sports Update. Creighton men's basketball is back at CHI Health Center tomorrow as they host Xavier in their annual Pink Out game. Tip-off is set for 11:15 a.m. Limited tickets are available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. That's Creighton versus Xavier at 11:15 a.m. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Mark your calendars for the 12th annual Creighton versus Cancer Pink Out game, sponsored by Methodist Hospital and CHI Health. The Blue Jays square off against Xavier at 11:15 a.m. on Saturday, January 28th. The first 16,000 fans in attendance will receive a free commemorative Creighton versus Cancer t-shirt with exclusive Pink Out posters distributed upon exit. Limited tickets remain online at gocreighton.com/tickets. The 12th annual Creighton versus Cancer Pink Out game, proudly sponsored by Methodist Hospital and CHI Health.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Welcome back. Our live broadcast today from Hope Lodge, Nebraska for the American Cancer Society. Again, the website, if you would like to donate, please go to cancer.org/pinkout. Coach Mack will be joining us here a little bit later on, but right now we are looking at the AFC Championship game. The Bengals at the Chiefs for the second year in a row. Bengals going for 4 straight in this series with the Burrow versus Mahomes matchup. And covering the Bengals for the Associated Press, Mitch Stacy joins us on the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Hotline. Mitch, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me.
The disrespect card, Mitch, has been played often by Cincinnati these last few weeks. Now the Bengals, if the lines stay, would be just the second team to be favored in Arrowhead Stadium versus a Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs team. With more love than ever in this 2-year run, can Cincinnati still play the disgruntled ace up their sleeve?
Well, I think that's a chip they had on their shoulder that's probably going to stay there because, they heard all season how Buffalo and Kansas City were the favorites in the AFC, and then there was the whole coin flip deal and the alternate site. The Bengals really took that to heart, and I think it was a great motivation for them, and I think they're probably going to cling to it.
Mitch, big picture, when you look at the last two seasons now, Cincinnati 3-0 versus Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, what is it about the Bengals that have given the Chiefs such fits on either side of the ball over the last almost two seasons?
Well, I mean, you have to remember that, all the games were decided by 3 points, and the playoff game was a field goal in overtime. So I just think that in those games, the Bengals found some way to win. That's a gift that Joe Burrow has. He will use whatever he's got. He'll find some way to get the points on the board. I think the defense is inspired by that. And that's what I think it came down to in those games was the Bengals just found some way to win. I was thinking about it today. They have a 10-game win streak going. And if you go down and look at all of those games, they won those games in so many different ways. It doesn't matter whatever they need to do, they somehow figure out how to get it done.
Mitch Stacy of the Associated Press covering the Cincinnati Bengals. On that note, Mitch, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo has had very different game plans in the matchups with Kansas City. The AFC Championship famously last year, he dropped 7-8 guys into coverage just to frustrate Mahomes. But with Patrick Mahomes not going to be at 100%, not going to be the mobile, dynamic, outside the pocket playmaker that we've seen him, the plan this week has to include at least some pressure, doesn't it?
I would think so. Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard are both healthy, and they've been able to get good pressure from the edge. And I got to think that putting some pressure on Mahomes is going to be a priority.
Mitch, in your opinion, getting to watch Anarumo for the last few seasons, what makes this defense so tough? I mean, it seems like the multiplicity and the ability to change their game plan on a week-by-week basis or even a half-by-half basis like we saw in the AFC Championship game. That's one of the things that stands out to me. What stood out to you in getting a chance to cover him?
What stands out to me are the linebackers, Logan Wilson, and especially Jermaine Pratt. I think that guy is one of the most valuable players on the defense, and he is often overlooked. But those two guys are so versatile. And then the back end is anchored by, Jesse Bates and Von Bell, two really great safeties. I think those things have been able to kind of make up for any weaknesses that they've had at cornerback. On the line, DJ Reader was injured for a bit of the season, but when he came back, his run-stopping abilities were very much missed when he was out. And when he came back, they were able to do that more consistently. They just have a pretty all-around consistent group.
Mitch, other side of the ball, so much has been said about Joe Burrow and, his really everything that he's been able to do in his short career. In particular, when you look at how Kansas City's defense plays and the strengths and weaknesses of Cincinnati's offense, what do you see in terms of an attacking style for that Bengals offense on Sunday night?
I think that the game plan will be similar to what you saw against Buffalo last week. Burrow has one of the quicker releases in the NFL. I think last week he averaged 2.5 seconds in getting the ball out. And he's just able to do that before the pass rushers can get a lane and before the other defenders can really figure out what's going on. And he's, dumping it off. He's going to take what the defense will give him. And they didn't have any long, explosive plays last week, any long passes, because Buffalo was trying to take away Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and not letting Burrow complete those kind of passes. But, he took advantage of it with his quick release, and he was dumping the ball off. And I think he threw to 8 different receivers. Like I said before, he will take whatever the defense gives him. He doesn't really care about how he gets there. He just wants to get there.
Wrapping things up here with Mitch Stacy of the Associated Press on the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, a lot of the talk last week was the surprise that a lot of people had in Cincinnati's effectiveness in the run game with 3 replacement offensive linemen from the starters that began the season. On that note, I know that Alex Kappa and Jonah Williams were on the injury report, and there's the chance they could be available this week. But because of the success of last week, do you think the Bengals really need to or wish to rush them back, knowing how much success they had last week? And thus, if there is a Super Bowl in 2 more weeks' time, they could be at a better strength with Kappa and or Williams.
I can't see them practicing the rest of the week. I can't see them playing. I can't see the Bengals rushing them back for the reasons that you said. And, the fact is, the guys who came in did a really good job. The 2 new guys on the right, Max Sharping and Adeniji, and then Jackson Carman on the left. Jackson Carman was really a big question because he was a tackle in college, but he'd only played guard with the Bengals. And he had a very up and down rookie year last year. So when it was announced that he was going to be the guy at left tackle, I think everybody kind of raised their eyebrows a little bit, but he certainly had a great game last week, as did the other 2 guys. I think the Bengals would be happy to stay with that lineup. They proved that they can do it.
Mitch Stacy of the Associated Press on the Cincinnati Bengals. Mitch, we appreciate it. Thanks, and enjoy the game this weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mitch.
That's Mitch Stacy joining us here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. I saw this statistic going back to 2014, so not quite a full decade, but there's been, imagine this, since 2014, there have been 13 conference championship games that have been rematches from the regular season. And in those 13 games, the team that won in the regular season went 10-3 in the title game rematch.
Yeah, wow, that's a really good stat, man, and that's what makes, of course, this weekend so interesting is that on one hand we have that rematch, and we have a rematch of a couple of teams who have seen each other 3 times over the last, what are we talking about, 14, 15, 16 months, somewhere in there. And then on the other hand, you have this super anticipated NFC Championship game because we don't really know what to expect. Like as we just talked about, we can look back at these 2 teams over the last 3 games versus each other and, hey, what worked, what didn't work, what can work, what won't work. Whereas we're going in pretty much blind with 49ers Eagles. It makes for quite the dichotomy for these 2 games in a couple of days.
All right, coming up, it is happy hour time. We are live at the Hope Lodge, American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. We are doing our annual paper drive for the cancer patients and their families who have to stay here long term while they get their life-saving treatment far from home here in Omaha. If you cannot make it here in person, here at 80th and Farnham, just down the hill from Children's Hospital and Methodist Hospital, you can make an online donation, cancer.org/pinkout. And in the happy hour, of course, we have predictions, a lot of prop bets for the championship games, but we will also be joined by head coach Greg McDermott, who, of course, has started all of this process by the Pink Out game and the Creighton versus Cancer initiative started over a decade ago. So Coach Matt coming up. The happy hour is next. It's on Sportsmanlike Conduct with John, Josh, and Nick on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center, heads up a crash on Bedford Ave at 38th, still causing some delays in that area. Slow going on westbound Dodge between 680 and 120th. If you're south on 60th, delays between I-80 and J Street. And then if you're east on I-80, a few delays between 84th and 72nd. I'm Mike Neville.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com. Your Creighton Blue Jays women's basketball welcomes the DePaul Blue Demons to DJ Sokol Arena for a Big East matchup Wednesday night. It's Creighton women's basketball versus DePaul, Wednesday night at 6 p.m. on 1180 The Zone.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Throw. It would be nice to have a blow throw. It would be nice to have a blow throw. It would be nice to have a blow throw. It would be nice to have a blow throw. It would be nice to have a blow throw. It would be nice to have a blow throw. It would be nice to have a blow throw. When you're gone.
The happy hour is on the air. Live from the Hope Lodge, Nebraska, American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, where we have been doing our paper drive today. You can also bring by gift cards, too. You know, gift cards to places like Target or Walmart, places where people can shop or get groceries. Because what this facility is it's a long-term living for folks who have to be here for their cancer treatments. You know, once you go through the process and you've been in the hospital, then there's a lengthy process, whether it's radiation treatments or injections or whatever the case may be. And in some places, especially when you're coming from smaller towns, you're not near a big city, you don't live in Omaha, for example, and it's especially if you have a lot of treatments in a day. You know, it's not usually most cancers, you have to get numerous treatments per day. For example, when my son Christian was hospitalized, we had to be up here for 34 days straight. Fortunately, that's the extent of it. But for folks who need to, you know, go through lengthy treatments, 90 days, 100 days, whatever the case may be, and they can't go, it's not something where they can just drive, you know, 100, 200, 300 miles back home. They need to be here. And so they really need a place to stay. And it's a beautiful facility. There's, you know, they have very comfortable rooms here, and you can also have a loved one stay with you. Mm-hmm. So like your wife, your husband, or a parent, or whatever the case may be. And they have a beautiful kitchen area that we've seen in the past where everyone can do, you know, a giant communal, you know, kitchen. They can make their own meals. They can, you know, enjoy common time together. We're sitting here in the Mary Lou Janicek living room. There's nice areas to sit. There's meeting rooms, all kinds of things. It really is a high class facility. And it's right down the street from Children's and Methodist Hospital. So if there is, you know, some kind of a medical emergency, you're right here next to everything. And we were hearing earlier from Tony.
Oh my gosh.
Tony joined Ravi today on the Connor Happer show. And he had a story like that. He was from Atlantic, Iowa, but he had a bone marrow transplant at UNMC. He could not leave town. He literally could not leave town. He had to stay in the city limits of Omaha. And he was telling the story about how, you know, they gave him a list of, you know, here's some hotels, and they do discounted rates and things like that. But number one, you're not at your job, so you're not earning anything. You're still paying off all your bills. Then it's the expenses of cancer and all this other stuff. And he was truly afraid that, you know, if cancer wasn't going to be the end of him physically, it could be the end of him financially. Here's the Hope Lodge and a place to stay free of charge where he could have his children join him and have communal time together. And it felt like a home away from home. That's why this facility exists. And it's so needed. It's so badly needed. And I'm so glad, you know, this concept, the Hope Lodge concept, is spread all across the country.
Yeah.
And of course, we're fortunate to have one here. And I really encourage you, if you get a chance, to go back and listen to Tony's story, because it really is powerful. So if you can, please make a donation. All the proceeds to the Creighton versus Cancer Pink Out initiative have all gone to first building this place and then helping keep the lights on in this place. And whether it's a paper product item, and you can still register to win tickets if you join us here in person at 80th and Farnham and drop off your paper product, your gift card, or your cash donation. You can register to win Creighton home basketball tickets for the rest of this season.
Yep.
Or if you can't be here in person, do it online. Cancer.org/pinkout. Cancer.org/pinkout. All of the donations up to $30,000 will be matched by Nebraska Cancer Specialists.
And I mentioned earlier, I donated during one of the commercial breaks. The website, very easy to use. You can use Venmo, obviously credit card information as well, if you'd rather do that. So super easy to do. And like you said, one of the things I always think of, when it's friends or family who have gone through cancer is like, that is its own beast. And the financial beast is something that, obviously is happening as well. And that's what's so cool about a place like this is that it allows you to focus on the other thing, and getting through that with the help and love of so many people in your life.
The update, you can almost see me now.
I know we're getting very close.
Can I change my name back?
I think so.
Can I change my name back? Can I be me again?
You said once the sun sets that we'd be able to see you, and it's basically behind us. I think, John, by like 5:57, I think you're going to look great. I think you're going to look great by 5:57. So at that point, then you can just stay. You can stay, maybe do an extra hour. You can join Jimmy from here. You can join Jimmy and Rob, and you can just do an extra hour all by yourself.
I'm fine.
Okay, good.
Again, it doesn't matter where here is as long as I'm here.
As long as you're here.
And it's still AM radio.
Look.
And it's still AM radio.
John, 3 years ago, we didn't even do video. We were just talking.
I know.
Didn't have to worry about what we wore.
This is why I got into radio, was so I didn't have to be seen.
Yeah, I love when people tweet me, like, you're ugly. Like, yeah, I know. That's why I got into radio.
Well, you have a face for radio.
Yeah, you think I want to go on TV? Like some people, the vanity of some people, when you're calling a game and they're like, hey, do you want to do an on-camera thing? I'm always like, no, I'm okay. I don't need to go on camera.
I'm good.
Yeah, meanwhile, other people are like, yeah, let's go on camera. I'm like, oh, rats.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Nah, not
people who care about their tape and all those things. They want to be on camera.
Not gonna do it. Coach Mack is here. He's going to join us here in just a moment. Did you hear that there is a chance? We heard about the neutral site thing for the conference championship games.
Yeah, I heard about that. You see this year about this.
Now there's possibly the talk
every game's neutral site
of putting the conference championship games on separate days.
See, that's stupid.
One on Sunday and one on Monday.
I like the doubleheader.
I do too.
See, that doing it on separate days is almost the precursor to it being at neutral site, so you could play it at the same stadium.
Don't even
two separate days.
Don't even go.
I'm not going to go there. You're the one who brought it up.
No, I'm talking to the NFL.
That. Saturday and Sunday?
No, it would be Sunday and Monday.
I hate that even more. Dude, one of the best parts about the playoffs is, like the day off. I don't want to go to work.
I hear you.
And then watch a game.
I hear you.
All right.
Well, Greg McDermott has joined us here in person. Yeah, I don't have a stick mic for you today. I'm sorry, Mac. It's you got to mess up your beautiful hair.
What's left of it?
What's left of it? It's still pretty good. It's not bad.
It's a good hairline.
Yeah, I don't have to wear a hat all the time.
Well, I only wore the hat because they need station gear. Otherwise, actually, I wanted to wear the hat that you love so much that you almost tried to steal off my head at the DePaul game.
Oh, you like his?
He loved that.
He loved the old school. He wore it to work the other day. We were on the air in the studio, and he had that hat on.
Classy. We've got to up his game a little bit.
A little bit,
just slightly.
Yeah. You do wear brown with the blue suits, right? Brown tie with the blue suits. You understand that stuff, right?
John believes brown goes with everything.
Brown with the black
What
suit.
can brown do for you?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
How you doing?
Doing good. Nobody got hurt today in practice, so that's a positive. So we got that going for us going into tomorrow, which is good.
And nobody's sick.
Not at the end of practice. We're knocking on.
Yes, we're knocking on Mrs. Wood.
I think that's the case tomorrow as well.
I think it is. I think it's all right. But it's a short turnaround, and I know we're coming off the 8 days, just a couple days earlier, but still, you play a late night game on Wednesday, early game on Saturday. So you really have to. Did you work in at least a little bit of Xavier's stuff during the 8 days, knowing you had a short turnaround, or could you afford to do that?
No. Anything we worked on was St. John's. We're not in the business of ever looking ahead of the next game we have to play. So it's the reality this time of year when you play those late game, midweek games, and you turn around and you could have an early game Saturday. Your preparation is it's a little bit different. As I talked to the team today, we had a lot of reps the first time we played Xavier. We had a good 2 full days of prep coming off an off day, and we weren't able to do that. We just couldn't have them on their feet as much. So a lot of mental stuff, some walkthrough today. And then, try to put the plan together the best we can, try to clean some things up that we didn't do a good enough job of when we went to Cincinnati. But, it's a heck of a team that we're playing. They're, offensively right there with Arizona, I think, in terms of how difficult they are to stop. So this won't be a 55-54 game tomorrow.
Maybe at halftime.
We're going to need to score some points, and hopefully we can slow them down a little at the same time.
Mac, I believe this is the first time I've had a chance to talk to you since before the season, so I want to look back just a little bit. The adversity that your team dealt with going through the 6-game losing streak. I wonder what you felt in that moment in terms of believing they could get through it. And I guess what has happened to them since?
First of all, it wasn't a moment.
Yeah,
it seemed like years, even though it was a month. Adversity can be a good thing if you figure out how to handle it and you figure out how to grow from it. And it can actually maybe help you grow in a way that you couldn't otherwise grow without it. So to our team's credit, during that stretch, they continued to work hard. They continued to be process-oriented and understand that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and that we have some room to grow. And especially when Kalk was out, we really, had to figure out kind of, what are we going to do here? How are we going to survive this? What can we do to improve during this time and give ourselves a chance to win games? And even though we didn't win, I think we got better. Mm-hmm. And then when he came back, I think everybody else was a little bit better because of it. Watching them rally around Fred. During that time, Fred had a tough first game out in Vegas, and then bounced back with 2 really good games, the last 2. And I think a lot of that had to do with his teammates' approach to him and the way they, like I said, they rallied around him, they helped him, they answered his questions, they made sure that they were instilling confidence in him really on a play-by-play basis. And that's made Fred a better version of himself. So, we've made strides, which we wanted to do, and, certainly not where we want to be record-wise. But, we went through a gauntlet, and we're still standing, and it continues tomorrow.
Mac, I know we talked about it on Wednesday after the game, but the bench contributions on Wednesday, some of our best, and not just the garbage time minutes, when the game was pretty much decided, but, Fred had good minutes. Francisco, you mentioned Reef came in and gave you some good minutes, and a lot of the talk before the season was that this was going to be one of your deepest teams and the contributions from the bench. How close is it today to where you thought it could be before the season?
Well, it's in some ways, and I think I've said this before, our bench didn't get a typical non-conference season to grow like what would generally happen in a normal season. Normally you're playing 6, maybe 7 bye games. Yeah. And you can play those guys a lot and they can work through some stuff. And their experience and their minutes were in the heat of battle against really, really good teams where your mistakes are magnified. And sometimes when you're winning a game and things are going well, people don't even notice those mistakes. You kind of grow through them as a result of just being out there and doing it. So it hasn't been totally fair to them. And the reality of it is our starters are just really good. It's not like our bench guys aren't good players, but we've got 5 guys that are playing at a really, really high level, none of which are in the top 10 in minutes played in conference play. So while I think people think our guys are out there a lot, we've been able to balance that and get guys off the floor. And I think Fred's done a good job. Francisco does really good stuff when he's on the floor. I thought Mason has done some things that he wasn't doing in the non-conference. Even though he's not making shots, he's impacting the game. And I'm not worried about his shooting. The shooting will come back. But, he's flying around. His attention to detail with scouting reports is better. And then, Reef's had moments where he's played really well. We just got to give him to be a little bit more consistent. But in fairness to him, he's not getting a lot of opportunity. It's hard to get in a rhythm when you're not playing a lot, and I understand that. I get that. And those guys are in a tough spot, but they show up and they go to work every single day.
What are the pros and cons of seeing a team like Xavier 2.5 weeks apart?
I think on a short prep, at least there's a familiarity there. certainly with the personnel part of it and understanding what we have to do better on Sule Boom and Colby Jones is a handful, and obviously they're two frontline guys, and Kunkel and I mean everybody, and so I think that part of it, okay, I understand their strengths. I know what I have to do, and we can look at film and I understand what I have to do different from what we did the last time we played them. And then also, the sets they run, once you kind of walk through them and see them on film, it's okay. All right, I remember that. We talked about the importance of rebounding, which I think was the difference. You play 90-87 game, and you think you could point to a lot of things, but offensive rebounding ended up probably being the difference in that game, especially when we went to zone late in the game and we just got caught with some bad matchups on the backside. So we've got to clean that up, and if we can, we can put ourselves in a position. We led, I think, for 19 minutes of that game, or almost 20 minutes. Led for 14, and it was tied for the rest. I mean, it was an unbelievable college basketball game if you didn't care who won. So hopefully we can turn the tables tomorrow.
And you mentioned Sole Boom, the transfer from UNL,
UTEP.
UTEP. I always think UNLV, but he's from Oakland. Has he changed? How much has he changed their team? I mean, there's so much good experience coming back, but what has he added to them that maybe you haven't seen added to any other team in this era of transfer portal?
Well, you return 4 starters, and the guy you bring in is your leading scorer. So, he's added 17 points a game, and he's so fast in the open court, coming off screens. He's shooting it at such a high level. He made his first 5 threes at UConn the other night in that environment against that defense. So, nobody's been able to really shake him. And he's had a couple games where he hasn't shot it great. And those are the games, Seton Hall at home, where it was a close game, at DePaul where they lost. But when he's shooting it, man, they, because everybody else spreads the floor as well, it's really hard to guard. But he's added a lot. I think he's added some pace to their offense in the full court because he's so fast with the basketball. And certainly just another guy that you have to stretch out and guard that can shoot it 4 or 5 feet behind the 3-point line.
How do you balance the emotion of tomorrow and everything that this event represents with a game against a really good team? Like, I think about all that goes into that and what you'll be feeling and players will be feeling and fans will be feeling, knowing also that there's a really important game at stake.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's always an electric atmosphere.
Yep.
So that part of it is it's so fun for our players to be part of that and to coach in that kind of environment. That's why they play. That's why we get into coaching, to be part of games like this. It hits me every time I come through the tunnel and I see the pink, and I get goosebumps every single year, and I'm really proud of how the community has embraced it. It just continues to grow, so that part of it is cool. But once the game starts, even though there's pink everywhere, I'm kind of back into game mode and concentrating. People were asking me about the halftime show on Wednesday nights. Some dog.
Oh, you missed the Chihuahua?
I have no idea. I didn't see 1 second of it. So somebody asked me, wasn't that cool? I'm like, I'm kind of busy at that time.
You're literally in the locker room.
In the locker room, or I've got something going during the timeouts where I have to act like I know what I'm talking about. So, but it's once the game starts, it's pretty cool. Now, when they play the song at the 8-minute timeout, I think everybody kind of stops. I think that moment is the most powerful moment in college basketball. Throughout the season, you name the place. I just don't think you get 18,000 people where it's dead silence. And you're honoring someone that's fought the battle. Some have won, some have lost. But everybody's on the same page, and everybody is thinking about someone that had to go through the battle with cancer. And that's the reason we're there. We're there to try to find a cure. We're there to if one person leaves that arena and goes and gets screened because of the event, and something is detected early and we're able to cure it, now we've succeeded. The event has been a success. And obviously this beautiful building here, a lot has gone into this over the years to get this thing open and up and running and impacting people in a real way. And then continuing to support it year after year with the funds of the Pink Out coming, right here to help the folks that are living it right now. So it's a cool day, and I always look forward to it every year.
Well, having been a part of this, for the last few years, I always knew what this place was about and understood it, and I'm obviously doing these shows. But when that young man over there, Tony, told us his story earlier today on Robbie's show, it really brought it home. I mean, how important a place like this is. It's not just about saving lives, physically, but financially. I mean, people lose everything when they have to pay the bills and everything. Just to have this kind of a relief, it's massive, because there's the stress. I remember going through it with Christian. It was not only the stress of, is he going to survive, but it was the stress of, how are we going to deal with this?
I mean, there's time away from work. It's a financial strain on the families that have to go through it. And, we're blessed with great care in our community. But a lot of the people that come here to use it obviously aren't from here. They're traveling for a distance to be able to take advantage of the first-rate care that we have here in the Omaha community. But, like I said, making someone that's going through something very, very difficult, making their life easier. What else? There's nothing better in the world to give to than that. I'm impacting somebody that's having a tough time right now, and making their life a little bit easier as they take on this battle head on. So, this is an incredible facility, and everybody's heard about the Ronald McDonald House, and a place where children are sick and families can stay. But this concept, with the Hope Lodge, with as many people that are dealing with cancer, and everybody in that building tomorrow has some connection to it, whether it's a family or a friend. And I think they can imagine someone that they know needing a place to stay like this. And this isn't just any place to stay. No. I mean, it's a beautiful building. The staff is terrific. It's comfortable, it's clean, and the kitchen downstairs, it allows the patients and their families that are here, like, we're away, but we can go down and cook a meal, and we can feel like a family, and we can keep the family intact, and we can feel a little bit like we're at home, that we're not totally married to being away from everything that all the good things that happen at home. So I so appreciate what's being done here, and appreciate the fact that a lot of people have supported this to get it off the ground and then keep it functioning at a first-rate level.
You wearing the salmon tomorrow?
I don't know if it's salmon, is it?
It looks salmon to me, but I mean, it's pink. It's a shade of pink.
You would have to go there, wouldn't you? Like, you just.
What do you mean? I'm asking. I'm curious.
We were just talking earlier about your choice of colors and clothing. So for you to criticize,
I wasn't criticizing.
I think
I wasn't criticizing.
There was a tone.
No, it wasn't a tone.
It's a pink out. It's not a salmon out.
Well, I know, but it's the salmon shade of pink.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked was because, that's a bigger suit. You slimmed down over the years.
Well,
there's a compliment.
That was really difficult for you. I saw you wince when you said that. But the suit has been shrunk down, so I'm not going to look like, I'm swimming in a suit tomorrow.
That's good.
It'll fit well. And, you want to have different contrast to pink. You don't want it all to be the same, John.
I know.
That's style 101. And, there's a book that, Clothing Style for Dummies, that I'll get you, that you'll understand that, your shoes and your coat and your tie shouldn't all match. A little contrast is good.
Okay.
Style, John.
Yeah.
I see where he's
like
going.
your red face right now. That's
well, that's good. The good news is, because of the contrast on this camera, no one can see it anyway. So that's the best part of my day, man. Well, it's so much fun that we get a chance to do this. It's an honor to be able to be here and to get the donations. And
this is. I
want to thank Bob Lakovic too, who brought in a whole bunch more paper from Carpenter Paper Company, always bringing in a huge pallet. So
it's all the closets are full already, and we've got all kinds of stuff here, and really appreciate the Nebraska Cancer Specialists, their match for the in-game donations tomorrow, and I think that's online donations as well.
Yeah, the cancer.org/pinkout for the online donations.
So we want to maximize that 30,000. Yeah. So I really encourage people to click on that link and make a donation. All you have to do is stop by this building, and you see the real impact that it's having on people. This money isn't flying away and disappearing, and you wonder where it went. This is having a huge impact on people in our region that have to go through this cancer care right now. So I really appreciate everybody that donated today. I hope we'll have a good donation tomorrow at the game, and we need people on their feet, and we need them to get back from the bud zone as quickly as possible to start the second half, because last year at the Pinkout, we had a 17-point lead at halftime. Everybody went to celebrate, and by the time they got back, the game was tied.
What was it, 26-2 run or something?
Well, who's counting? But it was close. So we need them back in their seats as quickly as possible. It's an 11 o'clock start. We can push the heavy sauce off to at least 1:30 so we can get back in our seats and get ready to go for that second half. Every minute's going to count tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, every day counts in the treatment of cancer, and
that's right.
And every part of cancer care is really important. And the building we're sitting in is certainly proof of that.
For the survivors like Teresa, like my son, for those who lost their battle, our good friend Steve Pivovar, this is why we do this, to make lives easier on folks. So please, cancer.org/pinkout is the website. And by the way, they're going to have the QR codes on the back of those cards that you get to fill out.
Stand up for cards.
There's a QR code on the back. That's one of those things where you take a picture of it and it takes you right to a website.
Did they explain that to you today?
Yes.
We got a text, Coach, before we let you go. Trent says, Coach Mack putting John in his place. So there you go.
Yeah.
Roasted.
This is not.
Boom, roasted.
This is not acceptable.
It's not easy to do. The guy, he doesn't slip up very often.
It's really hard.
When he does, you
doesn't slip up very often. He wasn't listening yesterday.
Yeah. When he does, you have to pounce.
Oh, yeah.
and we do.
But yes, there'll be a QR code on the back of those cards. You can just snap that and make a quick donation. And again, Nebraska Cancer Specialists, can't thank them enough for their matching donation. We'll see you tomorrow.
All
right.
Have some
Thanks,
fun.
Coach.
You bet. Greg McDermott joining us here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct, live from the Hope Lodge, where we've got the paper donations. Please bring by your paper donations, and you can still register. We've got tickets to give away for the remaining home games this year for Creighton men's basketball. If you make a donation here in person, just fill out the card, and we're going to draw from them.
Oh, yeah, we'll announce that at the end of the show.
Yes, we will. And we'll be back. We've got predictions coming up. Who do you like?
Find out.
Next on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show.
There's no one in the history of sport who loves to hit you with a video of himself chopping wood at 4:30 in the morning more than Justin James Watt. And he wants you to know about it because you're lazy and he's the hardest worker in the room. I say, if we're going to be okay with putting mediocre players in the Hall of Fame, then sure, what better place to start than J.J. Watt? Wow.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Your Friday evening forecast will include mostly cloudy skies throughout the evening and overnight. Snowfall will be arriving, especially after midnight. On and off light snow showers possible throughout your Saturday morning. Mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon with the falling temperatures. Temperatures will continue to cool to near zero by Sunday morning. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KTV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center, heads up a crash on 72nd at Centennial Road is still causing some delays in that area. Otherwise, delays on Dodge for both directions between 108th and 680. Delays on southbound 680 between Dodge and Pacific. If you're west on I-80, a few delays between Q and Giles, and then slow going on Blair High Road for both directions between 90th and 103rd. I'm Mike Neville.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Fernando's Omaha.
Thank you, Omaha. It's triple first-place wins for Fernando's. Fernando's is honored and grateful to you for voting them the best Mexican restaurant in the Best of Omaha and Omaha Choice Awards and Best Margarita in the Omaha Choice Awards. Fernando's, family-owned and community served.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
J-Tech Construction reminds you that this time of year, your home's energy efficiency is under tension. Don't let your windows cost you by raising your energy bills this winter. J-Tech Construction will come out and provide you with a free estimate on upgrading your windows and keeping your energy costs down. They have custom-made, energy-efficient windows that keep the outside out with the professional installation you would expect. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction, your exteriorexperts.com.
Your Creighton Blue Jays women's basketball welcomes the DePaul Blue Demons to DJ Sokol Arena for a Big East matchup Wednesday night. It's Creighton women's basketball versus DePaul, Wednesday night at 6 p.m. on 1180 The Zone.
You're listening to Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
I'm in a very happy place right now.
On 1620 The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for predictions. Over, bet the over.
I forget about it every time.
I do too.
Yeah, you do. It's so bad. It's taking down my mood.
It has. I was in a good mood. I just found out. What did you said, Emily, 3 years of supplies? 3 years of supplies is what they've been able to replenish.
Incredible.
That's really
Thanks
cool.
to all of the donations out there. That makes me feel good. And then I hear the stupid new predictions open, and it just brings me down.
Yep.
You wanted a new open. I made a new open.
Well, last week, young Nick went 8-7. I went 7-8, and Josh, you went 6-9.
Nice. One of my losses, the Cowboys. That was cool.
Nick was the only one to lone wolf the Jags. We got screwed on that
Dude,
one. I knew exactly when they took over with 50 seconds left and they needed to get the field goal first. I knew we were messed up.
Brutal.
I knew we were messed up. I was the only one to lone wolf San Francisco. And none of us had a missed extra point by Brett Maher. I kicked as soon as that thing got blocked. I threw my pen. I was like, "No, I should have gone." Yes,
I couldn't believe. Oh, I don't want to think about it anymore. Let's look at the conference championship game.
Yeah, conference championship
I'm
game.
so excited.
You should be excited. We do have the Big 12 SEC Challenge this weekend.
What?
What
Yeah.
is that?
It's
Big 12
the
SEC
Big
Challenge.
12.
Oh.
That's schools like Kansas and Iowa State. The SEC, that's schools like Tennessee and Alabama
And Texas.
and Texas. Number 10 Texas at number 4 Tennessee. Now
I thought
these
this
are
was big. This was Big 12 SEC challenge. This is SEC versus SEC. I'm a little confused here, John.
no, Texas is still in the Big 12 for now.
For now.
For now.
This is a Ken Palm estimated line. Texas at Tennessee. Texas plus 9.5. Nick,
Volunteers.
I'm going Texas.
That's a lot of points. Give me Texas as well.
All right. Kansas is on a 3-game losing streak. They have never had a 4-game losing streak under Bill Self. They are at Kentucky. Kansas -1 at Rupp Arena.
So Kentucky has not been themselves this year,
No.
but they also, who is the win that they have? They have a really good win on the docket. Was it Tennessee? Did they beat Tennessee?
Tennessee or Alabama?
Give me Kentucky. Give me the wrong team is favored.
Oh, well, it's only by a point.
Well, the wrong team is still favored.
Bill Self's never lost 4 in a row. I got messed up earlier this week by KU, but I'm going back to the well. Give me the Rock Chalk Jayhawk, Kansas.
Rock. Chalk.
Jayhawk.
KU.
Let's do the props. We'll come back around to the games in just a moment.
Perfect.
For the
Okay.
conference championship games. Who scores the first touchdown in Philly, San Fran? I am going to go Christian McCaffrey. I think the 49ers get the ball first, and I do think they score. Christian McCaffrey, first touchdown of the game.
By the way, Trent points out Kentucky beat Tennessee.
All right. Thank you.
Jalen Hurts. Nick?
Oh, this ought to be good.
Yeah, he's got to figure out which
He's looking at the rosters right now.
I'm looking at the rosters right now.
Ron Jaworski.
If you want to give me a position group for either team,
John Taylor.
I could like guide you somewhere if you'd like.
I think it's gonna be a receiver.
Okay, for the Eagles or for the 49ers?
Niners. Kittle.
Debo
Give me
Samuel.
Kittle. Actually, no,
Kittle.
tight end. Give me Kittle.
Kittle. All right.
I was going to say, you got an Iowa guy.
No, I know. I knew it was. I forgot his name. I was drawing a blank.
Who has more receiving yards, Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown, Nick?
For
the
think
Eagles.
It's gonna be Devontae Smith.
I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. There's been a lot of talk about it this week. He was frustrated last week. I think that he has some really nice bombs. Give me A.J. Brown.
This is why they got him.
Yes.
I'm going with A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts rush yards. Nobody has rushed for over 70 yards individually against Frisco in 27 straight games. Now, the total is 46.5. Over or under on Jalen Hurts rush yards?
Under.
I agree.
I also
Under.
want the under.
The under, boys.
Oh, no one wants to lone wolf that, huh? Okay. AFC props. Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. Mahomes minus 6.5 pass yards. So Mahomes by 6.5 pass yards over Joe Burrow. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes. They have to throw.
They have to throw. I like Mahomes here, too.
Okay.
Give me
Nick?
Burrow.
We don't have any more Chiefs fans on our team, do we? We used to have all the KC guys. Do we have any more Chiefs fans on the team? Yeah, but Huss doesn't pay attention. So we're going Mahomes. What'd you say, Nick?
Burrow.
You're going Burrow. Jamar Chase versus Travis Kelce. Receiving yards. Jamar Chase by 6.5 receiving yards against Travis Kelce. Nick?
Kelce Crunch.
Man, this is a tough one because I think both of them are going to have good games. Give me Chase.
Travis Kelce. He's on a run here.
Dude,
Travis
he is
Kelce.
on a tear right now.
I think if Mahomes has more passing yards, I think a lot of those yards are going to go to Travis Kelce. Oh, look!
Oh, the prop returns.
The only prop bet that Josh ever loves. Will either game go into overtime?
In the first weekend, I correctly said that there would be no games that go to overtime.
And this week, you're going to say?
Yes, we're getting an overtime game in the conference championship weekend.
It's called no overtime.
Wow.
There will be no overtime.
Nick?
I'm going to say no. I got burned. I got burned last time.
Haters
3 different games could have.
And
All right.
losers, of which there are many.
This is, again, a Ken Palm estimated line. Creighton -4 against Xavier. You know where I have to go. I'm going. There's no drama here.
I like Creighton, too, in this one.
I also like the Jays.
All right, that was easy.
Nebraska ball. Again, Ken Palm estimated line. Nebraska ball +14.5 at Maryland. Josh?
Maryland.
It's Terp time.
Maryland.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. And you got a battle of third-place teams in the NCHC. Omaha hockey and at Western Michigan. It's a big series.
Hey, I'm going to some hockey games next month. I'm going to 3.
Omaha hockey at Western Michigan. They're playing 2 games starting tonight over on 1290, right? 1290?
Nick?
They are. I got to pull up the schedule.
On 1290.
On 1290.
Yeah, that's the home of Omaha hockey.
News Talk 1290.
So pick the series. Does it go 2-0 either way or 1-1?
1-1.
I'm going to say Western Michigan 2-0.
Ooh.
Mavs
Nick?
sweep.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And now to the main event. The NFC Championship game first. It'll be at 2:30. 2. Thank you. 2 o'clock.
By the way, which game are you more excited for? This one or the latter one?
Great question. Honestly, I can't answer that.
Wow.
I told you I love this. I think this week this is going to be one of the greatest conference championship weekends that I can remember. Now that's sad. There's going to be a blowout here somewhere. But San Francisco's a 2.5-point dog. The total is 46.5. So I want both. You can pick a score if you want, but I want both the total and the point spread in this one.
Nick?
I think Eagles. Give me the over.
Eagles and the over.
I'm with Nick, man. I'm disgusted. They're really good.
Oh, is this another one of the deranged cowboy syndrome? I'm doing this to fade my emotions.
No. I think the Eagles are the better team.
It's
and
flagellation.
Look, I think man, the Niners, here's the thing. I hope that I'm wrong, but I still think Brock Purdy has a bad game in him. And he had one last week, and Dallas didn't take advantage, and he made that throw. He made a few throws in that one. This atmosphere, I have watched the Cowboys play in this atmosphere in games like this, and I hate it because that team is and I don't mean this as a negative, but they are a great front-running team. Eagles, when they get going downhill, they roll. I So I pray to God that I am wrong, but I think the Eagles have been the best team in the NFC, sadly, all season long. Give me Philly 30, San Fran 20.
Yeah. I got to say I'm with you both
on the Eagles?
on the side. But I do agree with our guest earlier. I don't think this is going to be a shootout. I respect these defenses. I was right last week. A lot of people thought the Cowboys 49ers would be a shootout. I thought, no, don't disrespect these defenses. I think it's going to be the same here. I do think that it's going to be tough to run. And I think the 49ers' key to success is they've got to run the ball well on first and second down. They've got to keep Brock Purdy out of obvious passing situations, because if they don't, listen, he's been great. I get it. They're on a winning streak. But you saw last week for 3 quarters, Dallas shut them down on the ground.
Yep.
They had the big pass play on that long drive, but it took a great catch by George Kittle to make it possible. I still think, Josh, I know you talked about the dropped interception by Diggs.
But if Diggs hits him?
If Diggs makes collision and knocks the ball away and he doesn't corral, I still wonder if that drive ends in points. Because that was
so early in the drive.
But that was a big play that got them out to midfield. And then it just felt like the momentum changed.
That was honestly the moment I knew Dallas was going to lose. When that pass was completed, I didn't have a good feeling.
San Francisco's got to be able to run the ball. I think, Philly's strengths play to San Francisco's weaknesses.
Yep.
Giving up the deep pass.
Yep.
Not having faced many mobile quarterbacks this year. I'm going to go Philly, but I'm going to go a slight under. Philadelphia 27, San Francisco 19.
Okay. And I had a slight over.
And in the AFC Championship game, we assume that this line...
It is 1.5. I look.
We assume that this line will stay about here, but
I think so.
When we make our picks, the line is frozen when we make our picks. So we're closing at Bengals plus 1.5, total of 48. This game, I do think the over will hit. I do think there will be points. We mentioned it earlier. The Bengals are really good in the red zone. Chiefs at times can be a little shaky in the red zone. And I think that's where this game's going to be won and lost. I think the Chiefs may have to settle for a field goal attempt or two where the Bengals will not. And honestly, I think I was on the Bengals side even before Patrick Mahomes was hurt. And I realized that, we knew about Mahomes being hurt before we knew the Bengals were in this spot. But, man, I've been high on the Bengals the last few weeks. And I sometimes think teams just have your number. I love Joe Burrow's moxie. I love his confidence. These guys are playing the heel, and they love it. They are worshiping the booze. The atmosphere at Arrowhead is
BOOS, not BOOZE.
Huh.
What?
You were saying they're worshiping the booze, as in BOOS, not One
booze.
Beer Friday.
They worship the booze coming at them, the cat calls, if you will.
Cat calls.
And something tells me this is going to be a 1 or 2 point game, so we might have some people very happy who bet the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Cincinnati 28, Kansas City 27.
Oh, Nick?
I don't like Joe Burrow.
Yes, you let us know this every time we talk about Cincinnati.
I really don't like him. I think that at some point, I just got this feeling that Mahomes' ankle is going to get aggravated again. He's going to have to sit out.
Oh, Chad Henne's going to come in.
I think he's going to have to cut the guy who I don't remember his name because we never see the Chiefs backup in.
Chad Henne.
Chad
Henning.
Been around.
Henne.
Henne. He's been around for a long, long time.
I think he's going to have to end up coming in at some point. The Bengals, they're going to play aggressively. They normally play aggressive in normal circumstances from what I've seen. I think it's just going to be amped up here. I'm going to take the under. I think the Bengals are going to have the majority of the points. Let's go.
Now Nick's doing math.
I didn't know I was going to have to get point totals.
The total is 48.
I know
you don't have to give a score if you don't want to. If you just want to say
the
Bengals in the under.
Bengals in the under.
And you like Cincinnati to win?
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'm the only one on an island, and this is crazy. He's the best quarterback in football. His name is Patrick Mahomes. I'm not doubting him. I swear to God, I'm not trying to do this for the bit. I actually like a push. Give me 28-20 Kansas City.
Really?
I just
a push.
I think he is the best, man. He is the best in the game, and I think that this is a weird spot for him because for most of this week they were considered the dog, and I think that they're going to revel in that. And on Sunday night, we're all going to be like, man, can you believe that we bet against Patrick Mahomes? So I think we're going to have Eagles. Oh, God, Eagles-Chiefs.
So the Andy Reid Bowl.
The Andy Reid Bowl. That'll be a storyline.
Oh, it will be a storyline.
Pretty crazy. In all seriousness, and I know next segment we're going to talk about what we want to see, but, I mean, you could have the Andy Reid Bowl. If it's Kansas City, San Francisco, it's a rematch of a few years ago.
Yep.
And if it's Philadelphia, Cincinnati, I mean, that's weird. That's just a couple of young quarterbacks. Obviously, Cincinnati, San Fran, you're talking about 80.
Well, okay, but if you have Bengals, Eagles, you got two SEC veterans, two former SEC stars.
Yeah.
In Burrow and Hurts.
And Hurts, yeah. And I'm trying to remember the
and
crossover.
They didn't play against each other.
No, because Hurts
directly.
was over. He was at
Oklahoma.
No. He would have been the backup in Burrow's first year in the SEC. He would have been the backup to Tua. So if they would have seen each other that year, it was, it would have been a little different.
Yeah. So there you go. There's predictions for this week. We'll find out who scored the best. When we come back, we've got some content, and we will start to wrap things up next here from the Hope Lodge. Please give generously and make sure you do so by going to cancer.org/pinkout. So very thankful for all the donations that we have received here today. John Bishop here for my friends at Woodhouse Chevy. You can experience the Woodhouse difference and shop with confidence. Woodhouse Chevy, Missouri Valley, just off of I-29, exit 75. The 2023 Chevy Equinox. Safety, technology with style on every journey. Their spacious cabin, room to help you do it all. And a very nice, clean cabin as well. Easy instrument panel. A lot of things to operate, but it's so very family functional. And the 2023 Equinox is ready to help you find new roads. Right now at Woodhouse Chevy in Missouri Valley, lease a 23 Equinox for just $329 a month for 36 months, or receive 2.99% APR when you finance through GM Financial. Take that test drive today. You can schedule yours online, woodhousegm.com. There at that same website, you can value your trade, fill out the credit application, chat with their knowledgeable, friendly staff. Because at Woodhouse Chevy, they want to take the pressure out of car buying and make it the most convenient, pleasurable experience for you, whether in-store, in Mo Valley, or online. Visit Woodhouse Chevy. Test drive the new Chevy Equinox today. Woodhouse Chevy, just off exit 75, I-29 in Missouri Valley, or woodhousegm.com. Chevy, find new roads.
Sunday, it's the championship round of the NFL playoffs as we bring you a special doubleheader. Hi, this is Scott Graham. Join me and the rest of our Westwood One crew for all the action. First, the top two seeds in the NFC square off when the Eagles host the 49ers. Then it's the Chiefs and the Bengals in the AFC title game for the second straight year. Who will advance to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona? Tune in to find out. Hear the playoff picture unfold right here.
If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone.
Mark your calendars for the 12th annual Creighton versus Cancer Pinkout game, sponsored by Methodist Hospital and CHI Health. The Blue Jays square off against Xavier at 11:15 a.m. on Saturday, January 28th. The first 16,000 fans in attendance will receive a free commemorative Creighton versus Cancer t-shirt with exclusive Pinkout posters distributed upon exit. Limited tickets remain online at gocreighton.com/tickets. The 12th annual Creighton versus Cancer Pinkout game, proudly sponsored by Methodist Hospital and CHI Health.
Does eating at home have you singing the blues? Stop by Cops at the Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, or 72nd and Jones to grab a delicious pizza, burgers, fresh salad, and some tasty charred wings. They even offer keto crusts and an extensive variety of shareable appetizers. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Cops, now with 3 convenient locations to serve you. Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, and 72nd and Jones. Click copspizza.com to see the menu, pizza, and so much more.
If you're like most Americans, you can see things are out of control. Global problems have local consequences, too many of them. And if the next news headline spins us into chaos, you'd better be ready. Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Today's the day to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. And as you'd expect from a true preparedness company, our food kits are in stock and ship quickly. Those who know what's coming are preparing today. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Look, I made you some
Unsportsmanlike
content.
Unsportsmanlike content.
Unsportsmanlike content. Content that's unsportsmanlike.
Hey, by the way, I wanted to mention, you were talking about survivors earlier at the very end of the conversation with Mac.
Yeah.
You mentioned your son, you mentioned his wife, and then you also quickly mentioned, and those that we have lost. And so I didn't want to say my dad because I didn't want it to come off like he had passed. But Dad also a survivor.
That's right.
Kicked cancer's butt a few years ago.
That's right.
Every year when he goes in and, I don't know all the situation with the numbers, but the numbers need to be in a certain zone.
Right.
He always takes a picture, sends it to the group chat. So another, he was the first person that I really, really knew that had cancer. And so I still remember that phone call, and I remember his confidence throughout of like, and I think back to the discussion we had earlier with one of our guests, how much things have changed. And he was like, look, it's going to be okay. This is very defeatable because it is defeatable. Sure enough, it is. So Survivor, love you, Dad.
I don't know what it was like for your dad, but I still remember the playbook they brought in when they told Chris and I about Christian's cancer, and Dr. Abramowitz saying, this is our playbook and this is how we're going to beat this. And it was very thick. It looked kind of intimidating, but it was the look in her face and the calm demeanor and everything like that basically came off like a football or a basketball coach.
Yeah.
Hey, here's my plan and it's going to work.
Yeah.
So, tomorrow's also about the caregivers and how much they have meant to all of us. All right, Nick, fire away.
You both have said who you think will win on Sunday, but who do you want to win? Which Super Bowl matchup looks the most attractive?
I may or may not last year, after Trayvon Howard intercepted the pass at the end of the NFC Championship game, ran back and forth in my man cave screaming, "Die, Frisco, die," which made my wife very angry.
My wife.
She didn't talk to me for a few days.
Oh.
Because she hated my behavior.
Well.
So if I don't answer San Francisco in some
Wow.
method in this,
You'll get the quiet treatment again?
well, maybe not. But I'll truly be honest. As much as I don't like San Francisco, I don't have that same feeling of, God, I don't want them to win. I mean, I don't.
But because you got the one from last year, so you're feeling.
I mean, I do. And would it be nice if San Francisco went into next year 29 years removed from their last Super Bowl? Of course it would.
One more than the Cowboys.
In all honesty, I can't think of a match. I mean, I love all of the potential matchups, but there is a part of me that would like to see Chiefs-Bengals or Chiefs-49ers Part 2 and see if San Francisco can get that revenge.
Yeah, that's my pick. Obviously, I don't want to see the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. So Riz and I, we've been together now. This is our 5th football season. After Philadelphia won on Saturday, she said, you realize now, no matter what happens, this is the furthest one of our teams has ever gone in the playoffs since we've been together. And I said, yeah, I know. And I don't want them to go one round further. So obviously, I'm not having that. Plus, I hate the Eagles. Somebody asked me earlier, are you just doing like a bit? Is it because of her? No. I despise this stupid team. So go 49ers. The other one, honestly, I'd be okay with either. I'd rather be right than wrong, so I'm rooting for the Chiefs. But, I mean, I think the storylines would be great either way. We get a rematch of 3 years ago, or we get the 80s stuff and Joe Burrow and
Be a
Brock
third-time
Purdy,
matchup
yeah.
between Cincinnati and San Fran.
By the way, thanks to Josh pointing out during the commercial break, you asked, SEC on SEC with Hurts and Burrow. They didn't play as starters in the SEC, but they did match up the next year. Burrow, LSU versus Hurts in Oklahoma in the college football.
That's right, they
Burrow and LSU smoked Oklahoma.
That's right, they did.
Yep.
Even though the recruiting dead period starts on Sunday, Nebraska coaches will still be able to visit Dylan Raiola next month. Why? Because old Donnie is on their coaching staff. Dylan's expected to make his decision in March. Do you two think he's going to pick Nebraska?
Man, I still do. And did you see this? Did you hear about this? There were 9 coaches visiting him today. 9 coaches visited him in Arizona today. They're putting on the full court press, man. I think he's gonna be a Husker. I really do.
I'm not changing my tune. I think he will be as well.
Nice.
The Panthers have hired Frank Reich as their new head coach. Is this a good move?
Well, I have nothing against Frank Reich. I thought his time in Indianapolis shouldn't have been over. But you know where this is a bad decision? We are 1 year removed from the Brian Flores race discrimination litigation, which, by the way, is still out there. This case isn't, they're still fighting over where it's going to be contested. And you've got another black head coach in Steve Wilkes who won them 6 games as an interim and didn't get the job.
Yeah.
And that's just going to make this situation even worse that, Flores is not getting interviews. Wilkes didn't really get much of a shake. It's from that standpoint, especially if the Colts decide to stick with Jeff Saturday. Ooh, I'm not sure. I don't think it's a bad decision from a personnel standpoint because I'd like Frank Reich as a coach. But the bigger picture could be a rough look for the NFL.
Especially with how much better the Panthers looked after they moved on from Matt Rule. Yeah, in the vacuum, I like this hire for them. I think Frank Reich is a good coach. Look, he made a big decision with Indianapolis, and that was kind of putting his reputation, if you will, behind bringing in Carson Wentz. And, he was the one coach, along with Doug Peterson at the time, that got something out of Carson Wentz. Ever since 2017, though, he has been a disaster. Frank Reich, though, he had a rough go in Indianapolis. Not just that, but the quarterback situation was always in flux. Why was it always in flux? Well, because he thought he had his quarterback of the future in Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck retired after their first season together. So I think he can be a good coach. And here's the thing, too. They're going to have a high draft pick, so they'll be able to pick one of those quarterbacks in the first round.
Billy Packer passed away on Thursday night. He was 82. What's your favorite memory of the former CBS announcer?
I would go with this one, Nick.
It's one and done, and North Carolina right now is facing that early in this ball game.
Rush, way outside 3. Of course.
This game is over.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Wow. With 7.5 to go in the first half, Kansas pummeling North Carolina.
So if you're not watching the video, Kansas was up 38-12 against North Carolina, the first game for Roy Williams versus his former school. They make that shot to go up by 26 points, and Billy Packer says it's over. And you can just hear it in Jim Nance's voice and probably the entire CBS staff. No, it's not over. We need the audience to tune in for the rest of the game. Now, look, I didn't really watch Billy Packer for the majority of his career. I didn't start watching college basketball until probably about a decade before that. I always kind of liked him, but I know that people absolutely despised the guy. I missed it when that was his last Final Four. He never called another one, and a lot of people always thought it was because of that moment on the air.
North Carolina did eventually get
a
close,
4-point game,
but then Kansas pulled away late, and it ended up still being a double-digit game. To me, there's not really a moment, but when I hear his voice, it's like when I hear John Madden's voice, or when I hear Dick Vitale always gets more notoriety. But when I heard Billy Packer, I knew it was a big game because he was always affiliated with the Final Four, with the biggest games on CBS. I'm with you. I never had an issue with Billy Packer. Amazing thing is, he was only an assistant coach for a very short time. That was the extent of his basketball. He was a player at Wake Forest, an assistant for a couple of years, and that was it. And then went into broadcasting. So it's not like he was a long-time head coach or anything like that. And yet he was on the number one team. And I wish I could have been around during the heyday, when it was he and Al McGuire and Dick Enberg on NBC. The only game I remember with those three, and I think they were all together still, was the Magic Bird 79 final.
Not a bad one to be a part of.
But I don't remember much about the broadcast that much.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that'll wrap things up for content. When we come back, it's Bet of the Day, and we're going to draw the winner for the Creighton home game tickets. We have tickets to every remaining Creighton basketball men's home game, including tomorrow. We're going to draw that winner next on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows. The Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, by Barry Law, by Union Bank and Trust, and by DJ's Dugout. Before and after each Creighton game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
The NFL Conference Championships are this Sunday, and you can enjoy more thrills than a 2-minute drill on FanDuel. Giddy up. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account, because they're giving all customers a no-sweat same-game parlay. What does that mean? That means you'll get free bets back if your conference championship same-game parlay doesn't hit. You can bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to which player will score a touchdown.
That's right, everyone, that we're talking about. Pat Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. Get out those cigars. It's going to be a lot of fun. Or if you can't decide, you can ride with thousands of other fans and bet popular same-game parlays already made for you. New to FanDuel, sign up with promo code ZONE to see for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. And if you already have FanDuel, you can start building your no-sweat same-game parlay today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa. 3+ legs minimum, $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is top 5 in attendance because of great fan support. And with your help, they've won 6 conference home games in a row and are just 2 points out of first place in the NCHC. Omaha Hockey has 2 home series left this season. Colorado College, February 10th and 11th, and the home season finale and senior weekend against St. Cloud, the #1 team in the nation. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tigs.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Unsportsmanlike conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson.
I'm covering for you.
Hey, I'm good.
I'm wiping your ass.
Stop wiping my butt.
On 1620 The Zone.
And you know why I'm laughing, don't you?
Now, it's time for the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Bet of the Day.
Just a little bit under where some folks would like to see this one wind up.
Brought to you by nobody.
You've gotta be kidding.
Really, we don't have a sponsor. Sorry.
All right, yesterday in Bet of the Day, Nick, he took the Celtics among other teams in the parlay. His Knicks defeated the Celtics, so Nick lost. I lost because the Nets are the Nets ruined it for me. But John, for the second time this week, picked a dog. This was USC that won the game outright. 4.5-point underdogs, and they win the game. I'm going to go with the AFC Championship game. Give me the Chiefs, minus the 1.5 points, minus 115.
The official lines are now out on Xavier Creighton. It's Creighton minus 5.5.
Oh,
the total is 156.5.
Oh,
over over 156.5 minus 110.
I don't trust any of the NFL games. So give me the Bucks in the Heat minus 126.
And that is the bet of the day.
Iowa.
And what does that pay, Nick?
Minus 126.
Oh, okay.
So a couple of huge favorites.
All right. Well, this always happens. The name that we draw is always one that's hard to read, but I think now the first name definitely looks like Nick.
Nick, yeah, and you can see it down there. The email, we know it's Nick.
Cool name.
The last name,
is it Wild?
I think it's Wild with an E at the end of it, but it also looks like Wilk.
Yeah.
I got nothing. So we got the
But the
phone
good
number.
news is he filled out everything, so we do have. I mean, we can't really email him because we're not sure.
No, we can call him, though, right? We can call him.
We can
and
call
I guess
him.
we know his address. We could just go knock on
We also know his age.
Okay. Nick, bro. His handwriting that looks like our Nick's handwriting.
Yeah.
Nick, did you come down here and register?
Yeah, you caught me.
Yeah. All right. So I already
I mean, I can get you a press
I
pass,
sent a picture to our well, I guess it didn't go through. Hopefully it goes through, but I sent a picture to our promotions director. If not, I'm going to drop it off at the station. I got to go back to the station. So
I wonder, we could text him.
We could.
Want me to text
You
him?
want to text
Slide
him?
into his DMs?
Like, hey, this is John Bishop.
Well, then what do I tell him? What does he need to do?
Hey, what's your last name? Just say, type your email address.
Yeah.
Just to confirm. It's
Yeah.
either Wild or Wilk. I think it's Wild. I think that's a Wilde. I think it's Wild.
All right. You know what? I'll do that. I will text him.
Okay.
Because the numbers are legible.
Yeah, the numbers are legible.
Right. Or if you're listening, call.
Yeah, Nick, if you're listening, not Grim, Wild or Wilk, yeah, give us a call.
Yeah. But congratulations. You've got yourself.
Yeah.
And they're all digital tickets.
Oh, good.
Right.
And you
They
don't
should
have
be.
to do
They
a
should
handwriting
be.
test for him.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You had to do a handwriting test. You ain't going nowhere.
Uh-huh. Yeah, let me see if the email's sent. But either way, yeah, I'll give Melanie a call.
Okay.
All right, it's sent. There we go. Yeah, it's sent.
Well, again, thanks to everyone here at the Hope Lodge. Thanks to all of you.
Yes.
For donating, and looking forward to tomorrow. And again, the website, cancer.org/pinkout. The matching donations, everything's going to go through the weekend. So if you could get to it between now and Sunday, would really appreciate it. Cancer.org/pinkout. Coverage begins at 9:45 tomorrow morning with Robbie, 11:15 tip with me and Taylor. Boys, have a great weekend.
Hey, you too.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.